Get right into it. Yo, this is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, today we got a Trump interview, we got a Ukraine update, and then, of course, we got a Gaza war update. So there's a lot to get into today. But first, let's go ahead and start with the Trump interview. All right, guys, and let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get it going.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Morning Futures. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo. Today, President Trump, the president for peace. 9 months into his second term, the commander-in-chief is taking on the ruthless, the criminal, and the biggest terrorists of all. From narco-terrorists in Venezuela and Mexico to bullies and killers in Russia and Gaza. I met with the president this past week in his first interview since his historic peace deal in the Middle East, where he effectively ended the war in Gaza. And it was just hours after a 2.5-hour phone call he had with Vladimir Putin, as the president is now turning his sights toward ending the war on Ukraine. But in the middle of his peace negotiations and a meeting with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff.
And a major announcement has been made out of that phone call with Putin, that Putin says he will come to the peace table if Ukraine is willing to give up the Donetsk region, or the city of Donetsk.
The president first zeroed in on American families, announcing in the Oval Office more price cuts for prescription drugs and easier access to fertility medication. I was honored to join the pool reporters in the Oval Office to hear the president's progress.
Oh, look who we have. Look at the great Maria Bartiromo. I didn't know. Did you get put into the regular pool pack? That's very good. Yeah, that's good. Nice to see you. I was so proud of myself because I was the first president in 28 years where drug prices went down for the year. And you know what? They went down 1/8 of 1%. But I was so 1/8 of 1%. Now I'm getting them down, Maria, 500, 600, 800%.
And after the press conference, the president joined me in the Roosevelt Room, where he took us behind the scenes of his historic peace deal in the Middle East.
It started probably with Soleimani. He was a mastermind who did a lot of bad things. He's the father of the roadside bomb that would blow up, and most of the people are great patriots, are great soldiers that you see without arms, legs, and lots of problems. He was the one. That was his. That was
And Soleimani also united most of the terrorist groups in that region as well. I mean, including Hamas. I mean, of course, Iran. Of course, what was it? Hezbollah, Houthis. He kind of kept all those guys in the loop.
His way of
That's
saying,
exactly
we
what he
don't like
did.
you too much, and affected a lot of people. That started one. But I think very big was recently with the taking out of the nuclear weapon from Iran. When we blew those beautiful B-2 bombers, when they went into Iran airspace and they came out unscathed. I mean, the whole thing was the most beautiful military operation. They flew for 37 hours. We had everything. And they went into that and they bombed the hell out of it. And when we destroyed their nuclear capability, they no longer became the bully of the Middle East. And we hit them a lot of other ways, along with Israel. And they no longer became the bully. And if they were, we wouldn't have been able to make the deal we just made, which is basically peace in the Middle East, beyond Gaza, peace in the Middle East. And all of those great Arab nations, I mean, you look at Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE, those three, and then you have the ones that, as you know, joined the Abraham Accords, but they were able to breathe, they were able to do what they had to do, and they've been fantastic. But if we didn't take out the nuclear, there's no way that we would have been able to do this.
And I spoke with you right after that strike on the nuclear facilities, and you were so complimentary, obviously, of our pilots.
Yeah.
But you also have relationships in the Middle East. You went to the Middle East as your first international trip as president. So was there some cajoling that you did with the leadership of Qatar and the leadership of UAE to get them to make the case to Hamas, it's over?
So I've been friendly with them for years, and actually I became somewhat friendly during my first term, but I was friendly with some of them before I was a politician. And, you know, it's vast wealth. Those countries are, you know, incredibly wealthy. And they put out money, they invest money, et cetera, et cetera. They have tremendous oil wealth. So I knew a lot of them before, but I got to know them very well during the first term, and really well, now. But I got to know them very well during the first term.
And shout out to Qatar for, holding all negotiations with our adversarial Arab nations. So, I always say shout out to Qatar for that one. Even though everybody tried to throw shade on them, I mean, the whole reason why we were even able to get this peace deal on the table is, well, because of Qatar or Qatar.
Qatar, as an example, the Emir, who's a fantastic man. Tamim, he's a really fantastic person. And, he's in the middle of a very tough little area because he's sort of surrounded by every little problem. And he has to play it close to the vest a little bit. He has to. Anybody would. Anybody that's smart, and he's very smart. The king of Saudi Arabia has done unbelievable. Now you have the king, and then you have the son who is, the king is fantastic. He's got a son who is phenomenal, who a little bit, Mohammed. And Mohammed's going to be a great leader for many years. And then you have UAE, and he's incredible. They're all incredible people. But sometimes people don't realize that, and they really helped us a lot. Qatar's the one that's most, vulnerable in that sense because it was right next to Iran, but they had great courage. And the bottom line is we got it done, and we did something that nobody thought was possible. We created, it's peace in the Middle East, and I think we're going to get Russia done. I think that'll be, it's not easy. I thought that would have been the easiest one. I have a good relationship with President Putin. I've always had. Don't forget, he had to go through the Russia hoax. That made it very difficult for us in terms of trade or other things. That hoax was just a disgrace. So now we have the war. The first time we had that, and now we have the war. But there's a great potential for trade there. And I hope that we're going to be successful. Ukraine has been very brave.
Well, you came at the peace deal with...
shout out to Ukraine for sticking in there. And like I said, it does seem like, well, since we can't beat Ukraine, but since we can't beat Russia on the battlefield, we are taking it to their economy. I mean, we were able to get but we were able to get China to pull out. We were able to get India to pull out. And of course, Belarus, they pulled out on their own. So yes, Russia is facing financial hardship. Crazy financial hardship right now. And that is one of the reasons I believe that they're coming to the peace table now, is because a lot of the big buyers has backed out of their economy because they see them as a risk, because war is not good for business. But Russia's right now demanding that Ukraine give up the city of Donetsk, and then they'll realistically come to the peace table. So I'm not too sure how bad their economy is hurting if they're still making demands, but we'll see.
The Qataris as a business person. You were a business person before the commander-in-chief. So is that the case you made for the Qataris to explain it to Hamas? Think prosperity, think peace, think riches, business.
I don't have to make too much of a case because they're very smart people. And frankly, if Iran stayed strong, as a military threat, I wouldn't have even asked them. There's nothing, it's right, they're neighbors, right? They're right next to you. Literally would walk into one or the other. Yeah. So it was really the decimation.
And that's also one thing about Qatar is they're literally going against one of the dominant Arab nations in the region, which is Iran. And they're going against them on our name, basically. They do everything. They pretty much try to get other Arab nations to come in to talk to the U.S. Iran doesn't like that. Iran didn't also like the fact that they was trying to get peace with Hamas. Iran did not like that. So, and Iran also does not like the fact that there's military bases close to them, because there's military bases in Qatar. They go against them almost in every way, shape, and form. Almost, and I would say almost in the way they practice their religion as well.
Of Iran that got us there. Without that, we couldn't have gone to the next step. And then we went to the next step, and now we have a deal. And I think it's a deal that catches on. It's a deal that's respected by everybody. We had Arab countries, Muslim countries. We had everybody. Israel approved this deal. Bibi was very brave. Bibi was a great warrior.
And yet, as soon as you left, Hamas executed 7 people, and then they went on to execute 30 more. Yeah. Do you believe they really will disarm?
Well, they promised they would. They said they would. It's down that they would. Now, they said they were gang members, et cetera, But these are very violent people. This is a very violent part of the world. Nobody's seen violence like this. If we have to, we'll disarm
The
them.
U.S.?
Well, whether it's me or the U.S. or it's, a proxy, could be Israel with our backing. We won't have boots on the ground. There's no reason to.
In the past, you've said Gaza could be beautiful. It could be developed.
Well, right now, Gaza's going through a bit of a civil war because there is an Israeli-backed militia force, mainly Palestinians who are going against, Hamas right now. And that's causing a bit of like I said, a civil war that's going down in Gaza, is making it real hard for it to distribute, the aid. It's hard to over here and get the hostages out the rubble. And it is also hard to give up arms or disarm because, like I said, they're going through a civil war right now with an Israeli-backed force. And Israel's not telling that force to back down because they, want to make it seem like Hamas won't disarm. And I'm just calling it out now.
And you said you wanted to develop it.
Well,
Do you
not
have
me
plans for that?
Not me as an individual.
The U.S.?
I liked it as like Freedom Place. You call it Freedom Place. And we would get all of the people that live there into decent homes throughout the region. If you look, Egypt has a lot of land. Jordan has a lot of land, right next door. A lot of countries have a lot of land. So I had an initial vision that we would get them. Look at Gaza. I mean, there's nothing standing. The whole thing it's all rubble. So it's not too hard to top that. And we'd build houses, and it would be paid for by the wealth of the wealthiest countries are there. Although, if we win the tariff case, which hopefully we will, it's vital to the interests of our country. We're the wealthiest country there is. If we don't, we'll be struggling for years to come. I've ended, of the 8 wars that we just mentioned, 5 of them have been ended because of tariffs. The threat of tariffs, as an example, kept India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear nations, from going at it. They were going at it. 7 planes were shot down. That's a lot. And they were going at it, and that could have been a nuclear war. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan actually just said President Trump saved millions of lives by him getting that. And I said to India and Pakistan pretty much the same thing. I said, look.
Yeah, it's 2 countries that really don't like each other. I mean, for a lot of reasons. And let's be real, even when Trump ended the war, these guys were pretty much comparing like damage reports, trying to see, Pakistan won or India won. Like they were literally over there trying to see which one caused the most damage and trying to, compare which one actually, caused more damage, who actually won the war, even though they signed a peace deal, even though, Trump got them to the peace table. But hey, yeah, the beef between India and Pakistan runs deep. I always thought that was a bit funny. I was really surprised how Trump was able to get those 2 to the table before he was able to settle Ukraine and Russia. But hey, it is what it is.
If you're going to fight each other, I'm not going to do business with you. We're going to put on a 200% tariff, which will make it impossible for you to deal. And we're not going to do business. No. They said, no. And after 24 hours, I settled the war because I settled it through trade.
I want to get back to that because I want to talk a little about your backup plan should that not go your way. But just to close the loop here, so are there plans for the U.S. or for yourself to help develop Gaza?
We are going to have a board of peace. You heard about it. And they've asked me to be the chairman. This is what I needed. But it's very important that, to me, peace in the Middle East, that's a big thing. I've heard the term all my life, peace in the Middle East. For 3,000 years, it hasn't happened.
When you spoke to Vladimir Putin, did you tell him that you were considering sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? Are you still seriously considering that?
Well, I've been asked by Ukraine if they could have Tomahawks. And I'm looking at it. I spoke with Vladimir Putin.
Oh yeah, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
Putin about it, and not that he would be thrilled. It's a violent, vicious weapon. But we have to remember one thing. We need them for ourselves, too. We can't give all of our weapons to Ukraine. We just can't do that. And I've been very good to President Zelensky and to Ukraine, but we can't We can't give, if we're going to be short, I don't want to do that. I can't jeopardize the United States.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to?
So I'm not sure what Trump is really trying to say, but to me, this is what he's saying. Like, look, we'll see. First, we need to check inventory. Once we count how much we got, and if we got enough, we'll send whatever we got. But we're not going to give you a confirm on that one. Like, you never know. We're not just going to empty out our supply and leave ourselves defenseless for Ukraine. Not for Ukraine now.
To the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property. We're the only nation that goes in and wins a war and then leaves, like we did under President Bush in the Middle East. We go in, we blast the hell out of everybody, destroy the place, and then we leave, Remember, I used to say, keep the oil. But I really didn't say, I said two things. I said, don't go in, but then they went in. And I said, well, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil.
Mm-hmm.
What do? We go in, we blast it to pieces, and then we leave, Doesn't make sense, never made sense.
Is there a timeline to get Hamas to disarm, in your mind?
Yeah, leaving really didn't make sense just because, well, we never really got the Taliban out of power and all that good stuff. Like, they was still out there fighting in a way. So, yeah, leaving without making sure that the Taliban was ultimately disbanded, yeah, that was a mistake. Or just leaving in the way Biden did, just kind of taking everybody out all at once instead of kind of slow moving it.
Not a timeline, not a hard line, but we're going to see how it all works out. They've lived there for a long time. They're very violent. As you understand, you've been covering it for a long time. But we're going to find out. Don't forget, 50,000 of them have been killed, okay? Mm-hmm. So they killed 1,200 people in the October 7th attack. It was an attack. They killed 1,200, but Israel can say that we killed 50,000. And so you'd say it's a whole new set of people, and it is.
It's actually
they get
60.
replaced by other people, young people, but we're going to find out. So it's not a hard timeline, but it's a line in my own mind. And at a certain point, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we'll have to do it for them.
Do you expect an expansion of the Abraham Accords?
I do.
I mean, sadly, there's so much going on in Gaza that Trump does not understand and that Israel will not tell Trump. I mean, unless he gets the intel on his own or the CIA gets it for him or maybe outside media, this man has no idea like that there's a complete civil war going on in Gaza and they won't disarm while they're fighting people. And Israel has resumed bombing Gaza because, they're kind of slow moving on releasing the dead hostages that the reckless bombing of Israel put under rubble. But hey, it's Hamas' fault, right? Right.
Almost soon. I don't want to use the word immediate, but soon. The Abraham Accords are a miracle in a way. And the 4 countries that went in initially, including UAE, highly respected, big and highly respected, they stayed in and they're doing incredibly well. I mean, they're basically trading with Israel and have access and everything else. I mean, it's good for everybody. I hope to see Saudi Arabia go in, and I hope to see others go in. I think when Saudi Arabia goes in, everybody goes in, highly respected. And the Crown Prince, who's also the Prime Minister and the King in waiting, his father's such a wonderful man. He's still healthy and he's still very sharp. But yeah, I think that they're going to all go in very soon.
So they've indicated to you a willingness to do so?
Oh, they have. Even as recently as like yesterday, I had some very good conversations. Now, they couldn't have done it during the war. They couldn't have done it with the fight with, the fight that was going on with Iran as a power. With Iran as a power, that's why the 4 original countries really, they were somewhat courageous of them. And they did it with Iran as a power, and they made the right decision. And then they stayed during the war. A lot of people thought they'd have to get out. No, the Abraham Accords are amazing. It's amazing, and it'll help bring long-lasting peace into the Middle East. Nobody thought they were possible either, but the big thing is what happened over the last few days. It's been pretty much incredible. Just like your ratings are incredible, it's been incredible.
That's wonderful, Mr. President. Now, the Biden administration is saying that they're taking credit for the peace plan. Anthony Blinken said that they laid the groundwork for the peace deal before leaving office.
So let me just tell you how crazy it is. They backed Iran. They backed Iran totally. They deserted Israel. They deserted everybody, and they backed Iran. You know that. It started with Barack Hussein Obama. He went into Iran. And let's say that
I don't know. It's real pathetic take just to sit there and say, oh, well, we had the plan written out. Trump stole our plan. You didn't implement it. So there's no way this could have been your plan if you couldn't implement it at any time in your presidency, like, which is crazy, which you had like, what, a good year and a half to do.
their idea worked, then you would have right now a nuclear-powered Iran, because Iran was on its way to a nuclear weapon under these people. And so when we do it, rather than saying, although they did say congratulations. I mean, Biden said it, Hillary Clinton said
That's
it,
right.
a lot of people said it. The only one that I heard say that was Blinken.
Right.
And Blinken didn't, he wasn't good at what he did. He was a lousy negotiator. And for him to try and take care, just so you understand, they did the exact opposite. They didn't say groundwork. They said the opposite of groundwork. They said traps, because they wanted, and they felt strongly that they wanted to back Iran over the rest of the Middle East. And they did it with Obama, and they did it with Biden. Now, Biden didn't know what the hell he was doing, so it didn't matter. But his people that surrounded him in the Oval Office, the people that worked the auto pen, the people that signed all those signatures illegally because he had no idea what was going on. So all those signatures that were signed, except his son's signature, I think he signed for Hunter. I think that was actually because it wasn't nearly as neat as the auto pen. The auto pen was much better.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to the next part of the interview.
Welcome back. Protesters in Washington and across the country yesterday as Democrats try to cause chaos to push back on President Trump's agenda. The No Kings rally funded.
I don't know about causing chaos. I mean, they was just protesting peacefully. Now, their whole No Kings thing is kind of wild because one, Trump's not a king. Two, if there was a king, I mean, you guys protesting about it ain't really about to do nothing. And let me be real with y'all, if Trump was a king, y'all be at the gallows. It'd be like a mass hanging, God forbid. So, yeah, I don't know about that.
By George
This don't
Soros'
match up to
Open
reality.
Society Foundation, with more than $7 million awarded in grants to that group behind this particular protest. Despite the commander-in-chief's massive success these last 9 months, his opponents in the Democrat Party refused to support the Republicans' efforts to reopen government as we now enter day 19 of a government shutdown. The president has freed up funding streams for numerous critical programs, including funding the military and other pay for federal workers to be paid this week, despite the shutdown. But the ability to do so lessens the longer that this stalemate goes on. More now from the president on the impact.
I know that things feel like they're going well, but we don't have any data. The government is shut down. How long is this going to last?
Yeah, look, the Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots.
They're crashing
They have
out.
nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates. I mean, I looked at Crockett, Jasmine Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. She's polling okay in the Democrat Party. I can't even believe it. AOC is...
Yeah, because you see AOC and Jasmine Crockett is like the fighters on the left who's really trying to go against Trump agenda. And then everybody else on the left is just capitulating and bending the knee. But really, they're just being sensible. But, hey, man, if you're a sensible Dem, you're bending the knee.
The other day, it's like, you got to be kidding. This is not going to make our country great. And for us to have a communist mayor, it looks like we're going to in New York.
Oh, yeah, we got 1,200 y'all in here. Appreciate the support. But let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen.
He's not a socialist. He's a communist. And it'll be very interesting. But remember this.
Are you going to endorse anybody in New York?
Well,
Cuomo or Sliwa?
yeah, I guess I haven't made a decision, really.
Sounds like you're
It's
leaning
not
towards
like,
somebody.
well, I think it's not good to have a communist, okay? Would I rather have a Democrat than a communist?
For sure.
Barely. They're almost becoming the same thing.
What about a Republican, Curtis Sliwa?
Well, look.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. He's a Republican. Is he really a Republican? Am I a big fan? This isn't exactly ideal where he wants to make Gracie Mansion a home for the cats. Gracie Mansion is a magnificent home of Fiorello, LaGuardia, and the great mayors, Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani was the greatest mayor in the history of.
Well, shoot, when I was reacting to the debate and I had the polls up, it was what? It was Suila at first, and then it was Mandani. And Mandani was only like 1% behind. So even in the polls that consisted of over like about 800 people, yeah, people were leaning way more towards Mandani. Cuomo, I mean, he barely had any votes. And I'm gonna be real with you, the more realistic person it would be Mandani, sadly.
New York, he did a great job.
So you're going to get
He went
involved?
through hell. So I'll make a decision.
Soon?
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
only 3
I don't
weeks
know.
away. The
I
mayor's
don't know
race is
that-
3
look,
weeks
I
away.
don't know that I'm going to get involved. I don't want to
Not
be
really.
endorsing Democrats as an example. It's not my thing. But would you rather endorse a Democrat than a communist? Barely, because they're almost the same thing.
Well, Mamdani was on Fox the other day, and he would not give you credit for the peace deal. He said it's too early to tell.
I watched him a couple of times be interviewed.
I mean, that's
And he's
reasonable.
pretty slick, but he doesn't have what it takes. He's doesn't have what it takes. The city will be in big trouble.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for that. A king, this is
more
not a
than that.
king. They're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting
Yeah,
Trump.
well, Chuck is, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, what he did is he did the right thing
Yeah.
a couple of years ago on something like this.
I mean, shoot, he did the right thing at the beginning of the year when he voted yes on the CR bill. But the problem is he got so much backlash from that I mean, hey, he was threatened on being primaried. And now he's standing up now, right? For what, $1.5 trillion in healthcare spending? I mean, hey. And they're not moving, they're not budging off that, not one bit. So we'll see where this goes.
And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, I mean, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. Giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It is pretty much dead right now.
Well, how significant will the layoffs be? Because now you've got a federal judge trying to stop you there as well, saying that any layoffs during a temporary shutdown is illegal.
These judges, I'm telling you, it's so terrible what's happening with the judges. When we want to go into a city to save the city, look at what we did in D.C. Washington, D.C. was a death trap. People would come from Iowa and Idaho and Florida, and they end up going home in a casket, right? They were killed. Now it's the safest city in the country. It took me 12 days to make it that way, 30 days to make it really good, 12 days to make it very good. And I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of the city. Do you see the way the city looks now?
It feels different, Mr. President. You're right.
It's
I mean,
clean.
Union Station was
Even
totally
the grass
clean.
is growing properly.
And
the
Union
whole thing.
Station-
And I mean, let's be real. Every time Trump has brought in the National Guard, I mean, Memphis has said it's been good so far. I mean, Chicago's begging for it. People in DC is loving it. So, hey, it does seem to be cleaning up crime. They go out there, they clean up the guys with the warrants, they take the killers off the street, and things get a little bit more peaceful. I mean, even in the ghetto. So you can't be mad at it if it has good results. But the Dems will still be mad at it because it's Trump.
It looked good.
Union Station is a dream. It's a beautiful place. You couldn't walk through Union Station without getting accosted or mugged or hit over the head with a bat. We moved out 1,700 career criminals and criminals from other countries that came in through Biden's open border. You know, the worst thing that Biden did, and I don't really think it was him. I think it was, he's not an open border person. He doesn't, I really don't believe it. He was surrounded by radical left lunatics who were smart. And yet they've been after me for so many years, and how am I doing? Yeah, I'm president. Here we are in the White House. Are we in the White House? I think so,
Yes.
right? So we want to go in and do what we did in D.C. So we're in Chicago now. We're being met with, by the way, the people love us. The people want us there. I said, beautiful black women wearing MAGA caps all over the city. It's the most incredible thing. I love it. And they're all, you know, there's like MAGA. I think you had them on your program. They're MAGA all
Yeah, I
over.
mean, there is a group of Republicans coming out, black Republicans or black conservatives, who are saying that they want to flip Chicago red. Now, will Chicago ever turn red? I highly doubt it. But now that there's more people trying to turn conservative, and you know, once you turn conservative, you care. I don't know what it is, but you just care a little bit more about your community. You care a little bit more about the crime and all that good stuff. So yes, these women are speaking out. They're saying, yes, Chicago is a bit of a gangland right now. The police can't really solve it. Drugs are running through here. Weapons are running through here. Gang violence every day. Yeah, something needs to be done. And the mayor, you know, Mayor Johnson don't want to do nothing about it. He wants to create a nice free zone. So Lord knows he don't care. And Trump wants to bring in the National Guard. And, you know, the Chicagoans are starting to get down with the idea of it because they're starting to realize that their leadership don't want to do anything about the problems that's going on in Chicago. I mean, especially the immigration problem that, you know, the inviting in all the Venezuelans created, and, you know, how they just start breaking into apartment complexes and just setting up shop or, well, living quarters.
The place. But the governor, who got thrown out of his business by his family because he's a dope, but the governor, Pritzker, he doesn't want us in. You know, if I were him, if I were a Democrat and I were him, I'd say, come on in. What do you have to lose?
And you're going to go to San Francisco next.
We're going to go to San Francisco. The difference is, I think they want us in San Francisco. San Francisco was truly one of the great cities of the world. And then 15 years ago, it went wrong. It went woke. Remember my statement? Anything woke is, and then I used a filthy, well, broke is another word. I used a filthy word, but I didn't. No. I took enough heat on that. I won't say it again, but it's true. I mean, nothing changes, right? But we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. It'll be great. Again, San Francisco is a great city. It won't be great if it keeps going like this. Chicago's another one. So the head of the Union Pacific, who you probably had on your show, he started off as...
Hey, and shout out to our man Salvatore. He ain't had too much to say. He just wanted to show some support. Appreciate that, my man. Oh, guys, you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys.
Like a conductor, and now he's the chairman. Sort of a great series. His father worked for the railroad, the Union Pacific, great company. And he was in my office, and I talked to him because he knows all the cities. He said, sir, save Chicago.
Don't be a hater.
It's a great city. We're going to lose Chicago. Save Chicago. That was 2 months ago. And I said, let's do it. And I'm met with like this legal force. And don't forget, and I haven't used it, but don't forget, I can use the Insurrection Act.
Yeah, I mean,
50% of the...
He can use the Insurrection Act if, you know, Mayor Johnson is actually for real about creating an ICE-free zone in Chicago. Like, it would basically be a lawless immigration zone. Pretty much, he's creating a zone in Chicago where the immigration law just does not apply. Yeah, that would Trump be able to invoke the Insurrection Act if, you know, Mayor Brandon Johnson, you know, pops that off in Chicago, which would be absolutely insane. I mean, he literally walked right into it. And yes, the federal government is allowed to go into states and uphold federal law. I mean, it's been done with, you know, Kennedy, Eisenhower. So it's all been done before. So don't act brand new.
Presidents almost have used that. And that's unquestioned power. I choose not to. I'd rather do this. But I'm met constantly by fake politicians that think that, you know, it's not like a part of the radical left movement to have safety. These cities have to be safe. Our cities that are Democrat run, exclusively just about, are unsafe cities. They're a disaster. and I'm going to save the cities.
I said that there's this embarrassing formula that I came up with, and I say embarrassing because it's like taking a shot at my own people, but it does seem to be that, like if it's if a city has a black Democrat mayor, yes, a black Democrat mayor, and a decent amount of black people, for some reason turns into a high crime area or a high crime city, even if it's in the red state. I mean, the formula is consistent across the board. Like, even if I go up to Cleveland, a lot of black people, a black Democrat mayor, high crime area, highest crime area in Ohio. It's like the formula's consistent. And it's embarrassing for me to say this because why it got to be like that?
I didn't run on that. I ran on crime, but I didn't run on straightening out.
Change their ways.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to support.
But all right, guys, just to troll, the guys in the chat or, the libs in the chat, because I like trolling you guys. All right. I'm not going to do all that dirty by letting that play out as a second time. I know that hurt y'all feelings enough. But I mean, hey, y'all might as well get used to it. You keep saying it. Hey, guys, if you say it enough, it might just happen. It's fun fact. A few Hell's Angels plus a few others have dedicated that if cities try and set up ice-free zones, they will go in and escort people to ice. I mean, hey, shout out because we need that. The Hell's Angels, man, them some tough white boys. Them some tough guys.
Aren't you going to have to compromise on something around
I don't know.
healthcare?
Like thick beards and heavy amount of tattoos on a Harley motorcycle. Man, yeah, I'm good.
Subsidies
Here's
to
the
end this
problem.
thing?
They want to give 1 point.
That ain't never a good scene.
They have a deal. We have a deal. We just want an extension. And the reason we want an extension is because you can't make a deal with these people. They're lunatics. They've gone crazy. They're crazed people. Trump derangement syndrome. There really is that disease.
Yeah.
At first I found it to be amusing. Now I find it really is. They want $1.5 trillion for health care for illegal aliens that come into our country. If we do that, it will jeopardize the health care of the citizens of our country. So we're not going to do that.
And on China, you've got a lot of economic levers to pull. You've got all those Chinese companies trading on our exchanges.
I have a lot to
Pull 'em.
pull. I don't want to. I'm not looking to destroy China. I'm not looking to destroy China.
Man, we need a regime change in China. We need a whole regime change in China. Then we need somebody who's willing to break up that monopoly in China. And then once we do that, and China can operate fairly, because for some reason, China cannot operate or their economy will not do well if they operate fairly in the global market. It's just something they can't do. Because every time we ask them to, they tell us in our face, yes, but behind our back, they're doing some duplicitous things. I mean, like, look what they try to do with their rare earth minerals and trying to tell other countries what to do with their rare earth minerals. Like, come on now.
But, China's taken out trillions of dollars, not hundreds, over the years, trillions of dollars. China has built their military because of us. China has taken out trillions and trillions of dollars. And then I came along my first term, as you know, I took out hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I tariffed China. And Biden left them, except he made so many exceptions, it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. But I tariffed China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China.
And the problem with the problem with his first tariff plan is that China found a way around it. They start shipping to places like Vietnam, Mexico, Indonesia. And, around that time, you started seeing a lot of your clothing and toys start being made from different areas beside China. Yeah, that was China's actions away. That was China's way of getting around the tariffs that Trump set up and that Biden kept up. So China went from that 15% of their 30% exports sent to America. They split that up. Now it's only 15% sent to America that gets hits with the tariffs. And they sent the other 15% to, Indonesia, Vietnam, Mexico to get sent into America tariff free because those countries don't have tariffs on them at that time. So yeah, China found a way to sneak around Trump's tariffs in his first term, and that's why Trump hit the world with a blanket tariff, because he's seen what China did the last time. The only way to secure it this time, to secure that China doesn't have any loopholes, is pretty much this tariff the entire world, which everybody had a problem with, and understandably so, because who'da knew? Who'da knew?
And now they forced me
Who'da knew China was operating like that?
Charge them what is the equivalent of 155 to 157%.
But they need our capital markets. I mean, we're funding the expansion of these companies tied to the military.
I think they do, but look, they have a very smart leader. And I think we have a leader that wants to make a deal, because I think that's smart, and he's smart. So we'll see what happens. You know, meeting with him in 2 weeks, we're going to see what happens.
Final question on the surveillance that has gone on. I mean, we've got reports that Congress collected 30 million lines of phone data during the January 6th investigation. They tapped the phones of 8 sitting lawmakers. What can you do to prevent this kind of surveillance? And how high up the chain did this go?
I think it went right up to the top. And I think it started with Obama, with Comey going up and giving me a briefing in 2016, 2015, the end of 2015 and 2016. And then I said to him, who knows about this? He said, President Obama, his wife, and Joe Biden. They sat in the Oval Office talking about it. But it went all the way through. Obama was involved.
Yeah, but Obama has deniability. He can just say, look, I was just going off the information that my FBI director was giving me at the time, so you can't really put this on me, throw it on Comey. And then Comey could also go with reasonable deniability by just saying, look, I was just going with the information that my agents were giving me at the time. So everybody could kind of just say, hey, I was just working with that information I had. You don't sit there and prosecute me over it. And Obama, he's protected by presidential, immunity. Now, Comey, like I said, he has a good amount of reasonable deniability.
Biden was involved.
Got to give it to him on that one.
And then they got this guy, deranged Jack Smith, a lunatic. And they put him in because he was the meanest prosecutor.
And shout out to Rhonda. She says, Trump's logic, 40K plus to every member of ICE on top of their salary, but can't fund underfunded communities like he said he would. Underfunded communities. Well, actually, now it depends what you mean by underfunded communities. Like which one? The black communities? Because those always were underfunded. Ever since Biden, Obama left us underfunded. I'll be real with you. So, the way to fund these communities would be to quell the crime in these communities. Therefore, businesses are going to want to come to these communities, because what the Dems do does not help our communities at all by allowing high crime or allowing it to proliferate, because that keep businesses away and it keep business down. There's no real economic opportunity in those underfunded cities. So it's not about funding. It's about creating economic opportunity by not allowing crime to get rampant. But I guess I hear what you're saying. But I would also wonder, what underfunded communities are you talking about?
Prosecutor you could find.
There's a lot of.
He was sort of a failed prosecutor because he failed he'd failed because he'd always go too far. And now he really went too far. And we'll see. But you had 8 senators and I guess a couple of congressmen and some other people. But you had, maybe worse than that, you had a House rated of the ex-president of the United States, who actually won the second election by a lot.
Were they looking for that report on Russia collusion?
I heard that they were looking because they thought there was a report bad about them. They thought I had it, which I didn't have. I didn't have anything of any merit. But they were looking, and I also had the Presidential Records Act. I had the right to have all this stuff. I had that right to have it.
Yeah.
Only the president has that right. The vice president.
And that was the weird thing about them coming after him with the files, because, presidents have done this before and they've been protected by a presidential immunity. So the fact that, what was it? I think of Biden as a vice president had files, and nobody came after him about that. Bill Clinton, he had a recording of a negotiation at his house that he was not supposed to have, but he had it, and now he was protected under presidential immunity for that. So here comes Donald Trump doing basically the same thing, and y'all trying to crucify this man.
Doesn't have that right, but the president does. But they were looking for they thought I had bad things on them because they knew how bad they were.
So was it a
conspiracy? If they weren't bad, they wouldn't have known that.
Do you expect there will be charges that there was a conspiracy
against you? I don't know about
charges.
I'm allowed to be involved in this. I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. You know that, right? A lot of people say, oh, he's the president. He should. No, I'm the chief law enforcement. I'm allowed to be involved in it, but I haven't chosen to. I think Pam is doing a very good job. I think Cash is really.
And shout out to he's like, y'all want instant gratification. You realize there is a process to make sure that they can not only fund those communities, but also keep the funding in those communities. Yes, instead of going to BS. I mean, shoot, you want to talk about underfunded communities? Like, let's be real. Like, I think somebody said in the chat, like, they get funded, they just reallocate it to somewhere that just does not matter. And like I said, I would blame the mayors of those cities. I would blame the governors of those states who let some of these underfunded places, who let some of these communities go underfunded. But mainly I would blame the mayor because they handle the fundings and they're responsible for that area. Usually those underfunded communities have the formula that I'm quite embarrassed to say of a Black Democratic mayor with Black people and somehow equals a high crime underfunded community. So, well, Dems, you ain't doing us no favors. Black liberals, you really ain't doing us no favors.
Coming onto his own. It's a field that he's very good at. I think they have some people that are very good. We're going to see what happens. And again, I didn't know what was happening, but I see John Bolton just got indicted. That's a good thing. He's a bad guy. I don't know what he did, but he's a bad guy. Stupid kind of a guy, actually, you know. He helped me, though, I must say. When I brought him into a room and I was negotiating, like with Putin or this one or Kim Jong-un or whoever, when they saw Bolton, they gave me everything. You know why? Because they thought it meant war, because he was crazy. All he wanted to do is drop bombs on people.
Yeah.
He's one of the people that convinced Bush to go into the Middle East. And I understand why. The guy was just sort of, I thought he was a crazed person.
Bloodthirsty.
When in doubt, drop bombs on everybody. When in doubt, kill people. But having him standing, he never talked much. He almost never talked, come to think of it. But having him stand there with a big mustache, these people that I was fighting, they looked at him and they said, oh man, let's give up to Trump because this guy's crazy. Bolton is crazy and we'll end up in a war. I won so much stuff, but despite that, he was a bad guy. I don't know what he did. It must be pretty severe, but whatever it is, let the courts decide.
And all of these indictments caused Obama the other day on a podcast to say that right now democracy is being threatened.
Yeah, I know. He says that all the time. He's the one that threatened it by spying on my campaign. He started it. Obama spied on my campaign, and he did it knowing it was illegal. He knew
and other Republicans as well.
It was illegal, but he started the whole thing, and there were a lot of dishonest people, and I suspect they'll be caught.
Mr. President, thank you.
All right, now let's go over to his press gaggle on Air Force One. Whoop, here we go.
Any questions? You want to give me a little room here, Jim?
Just following up on the 60 Minutes story, what's your reaction to Israel strikes on Gaza today?
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening.
Yeah, and like I said, Israel has struck southern Gaza again because they did it yesterday. Now they're resuming doing it today. About 33 Palestinians have been killed.
We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. As you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in there are some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Is the ceasefire still in place?
Yeah, it is.
Mr. President, on Colombia, Senator Graham.
The country of Colombia.
The country of Colombia. Senator Graham tweeted that you would be imposing tariffs on the country either today or tomorrow. Can you give any details as to how much those tariffs might be?
Well, I read
the
statement of Senator Graham minutes ago. I was with him today. We were working today, and I read his statement, and it's correct.
But how much the tariff rate? Do you have a rate in mind?
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Tomorrow it will be announced.
Yeah.
Jay Jones has repeatedly said that he went in Virginia that he...
Who said what?
Jay Jones in Virginia.
Jay Jones, you mean the one that wanted to kill somebody's children?
Yes.
And kill somebody? You mean the animal that wanted to kill somebody?
Yeah, he
who
said
should not be allowed to be running for that office?
Yeah, he said he can't wait to see you in court. I'm wondering if you have a response and if you're considering getting involved in that race.
Well, what is he saying?
He said in the debate on Thursday night that he can't wait to sue your administration and see you in court.
No, he's a third-rate intellect. He's a guy who I've never seen anybody say what he said. That he wanted to kill his opponent's children. He wanted to kill his opponent.
Ooh, Jay Jones.
I can't imagine anybody.
Yeah, Jay Jones is wild. Look, if the Dems in Florida do not drop Jay Jones, they can never say that they condemn political violence. That man, Jay Jones, literally said in a text message that he would love to see his political opponent, which is the Republicans, children and wife die. Said he would want to see, he would love to sit there and see him, hold them in their arms and watch them die. I was like, bro, whoa. He's just running against you. It can't be that deep. Like the way bro was talking about him as if like they was on the opposite side of war or something. But yeah, and here's the thing. They allowed this man to he's still running for AG right now. Jay Jones is still running for AG after those comments or those messages were leaked, because he said it back in 2022. So it's not like he said it today. But he said it back in 2022, comes out today, and for some reason the Dems won't make this man step down. Actually, they're still backing him. Wild. And then they'll sit here in front of our face and say that, oh, we condemn political violence. Then why haven't you condemned Jay Jones?
He voted for Jay Jones. Look, you would think he's totally discredited. I would think he wouldn't even be allowed to do that. Anybody would be put in prison for what he said. So he can join the long list of attorney generals that have been suing and losing. But the people of this country want law, they want order, they want safety. They don't want to be mugged or raped or shot, and that's what we provide. We have tremendous numbers also. You see the crime numbers are coming way down, way down. Then you take a look at a place like Washington, D.C., which is now one of the safest cities in the country. It's one of the worst cities, most dangerous cities. We moved out 1,700 career criminals and people that came here through Biden and his open border policy. And Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities, and Memphis is doing fantastically also. We went in there a week ago. There's a bumpy flight. I better say that, otherwise they'll say, what's wrong with the president? There's a bumpy flight. But Memphis is doing really well. I think that Chicago will do very well. We're going to go into San Francisco at some point in the not-too-distant future, make that a great city again. It can only be a great city if it doesn't have crime. If it has crime, it can't be a great city.
Question on Colombia. Are you concerned that if aid is cut to Colombia, that would undermine Colombia's fight against drugs? A lot of U.S. aid.
They don't have a fight against drugs. They make drugs. They refine drugs. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They have no fight against drugs. And I'm stopping all payments to Colombia because they don't have anything to do with their fight against drugs. And in fact, even when they had better presidents than they have right now, that's how they're making a lot of money. Drugs. I used to complain about it when they had a very nice president, but he wasn't good. It was all talk. I mean, they are a drug manufacturing machine.
I mean, yeah, if they want to stay alive, they're gonna get down with the cartel, because the cartel could reach them wherever. I'm just like, I don't know, and I agree with Trump what he's saying, that these like in places like Colombia, yeah, they're controlled by the cartel. Most Latin American countries are controlled by the cartel, and it's because the cartel can reach these guys. The cartel cannot reach the American president. Like, no, they can't. I mean, I'll be real with you. Yeah, some white boy almost got him, but the cartel, not in their life. But we can reach the cartel for sure. But the problem is that we need some type of, I don't know, maybe some type of like military presence to where these politicians can speak out without the fear of the cartel coming after them, especially if they want to be American allies. Because how can we trust you guys and you're actually controlled by the cartel? We might as well be talking to the head of the cartel then. Like, what's the point of talking to the Latin American leaders like in Mexico or Venezuela? We might as well talk to the cartel. They run you guys. They make most of your money. They're your financiers. What the hell we talking to y'all for? Y'all don't control anything anymore.
And we're not going to be part of it. So we're going to drop all money that we're giving to them.
And they don't want to fix it. I'm sorry, last time I'll pause it, but they don't want to fix it. That also pisses me off.
Nothing to do with them stopping drug production. And you look at the fields are loaded up with drugs, and they refine the drugs, and they make tremendous amounts of cocaine, and they send it all over the world, and they destroy families. No, Colombia is out of control, and now they have the worst president they've ever had. He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems.
One more question on Colombia. The Colombian president says that the U.S. killed a innocent Colombian fisherman in one of the strikes.
Yeah, they said that when we shot down a submarine, that they were just fishing. This is a submarine. This was a submarine that was meant, by the way, this was a submarine that was meant for one reason and made for one reason, to carry massive amounts of drugs.
He agrees with that, but that's not the right strike that he's talking about. He's talking about a previous strike.
Yeah, that is not the right strike he was talking about. He was talking about the strike on the speedboat that was released on camera, and they're saying that, and somebody in Colombia saying, "Oh no, that was my husband on the speedboat." Or that was my family member. And what was your family member doing on a speedboat full of drugs? Can we clear that up, please? Because if he was working with the narcos, congratulations, he's now a terrorist. So it is what it is. Oh, and shout out to Osha. Do you hear about the hunting stand by Palm Beach Airport that had a perfect line of sight to Air Force One's door? Said it's been there for months. Oh, wow. Well, I guess we're not as safe as we thought. Well, I guess the president's not as safe as we thought he was. Well, that's been proven to us over and over again. But as far as the cartel trying to get one off on Trump, I don't think they'll do that, because we'll have to pretty much, I would not say level Latin America, but almost pretty much take out almost every politician in Latin America or every world leader, because it's the cartel. They literally run Latin America. So if they hit us, it'd be like going to war with the entire Latin Americans.
On the shutdown, do you want to see the premium tax credits extended if the Democrats vote to reopen the government?
Let me just tell you that there'll be no money given toward their crazy escalation of giving money to illegal aliens that came into the country totally illegally. They came in illegally. They want to spend $1.5 trillion with a T, trillion dollars, giving it to people that came into the country illegally. They shouldn't have come in. In fact, one of the reasons they came in was to get this money. And California is a big culprit. California, they're out of control. And we're not going to pay California all of that money that they're giving away illegally. That's another thing. Between California and Colombia, there's not that much difference. We're not going to be making those payments.
Just a follow-up to that, sorry. A July survey
Who
by
are you with, Liz?
The Washington Post. A July survey by your pollster, Tony Fabrizio, found that 72% of voters across political parties like the ACA tax credits. Are you worried that you might get blamed if you don't help get those through?
Well, we want to have great health care, so we'll do whatever we can do to have great health care. But the Democrats want to destroy all health care because they want to give $1.5 trillion of this money, and they want additional money to go to people that came into our country illegally.
Shoot, it's not just about illegal immigrants. It's also about their corporate, I would say their corporate donors as well. Pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, and all that good stuff. They get to overprice us because we have a bloated budget on our Medicaid. Yeah, they take advantage of that and they overprice us. And then, of course, there is a Medicaid that goes to states that help with state-funded healthcare services, and some of these state-funded healthcare services allow undocumented immigrants onto their program. Minnesota got exposed for doing it when they sent out a letter stating that on January 1st, 2026, that they will no longer let undocumented immigrants on Minnesota health. Ain't that crazy?
Many of them are from prisons and mental institutions, and we're not going to destroy our health care for the Democrats.
Mr. President, there were reports, and you even mentioned that in a recent phone call with Prime Minister Modi, and that Modi had said his country would stop purchasing of Russian oil.
Yeah, he's going to stop purchasing.
But India said that they were not aware.
Well, then they're going to just keep paying a lot of tariffs. If they said that, but I don't believe they said that. No, I spoke with Prime Minister Modi of India, and he said he's not going to be doing the Russian oil thing. So that's it.
But why would India say that?
He's like, Cali got $2 billion to solve homelessness and did nothing. Honestly, no, they made money off it. That was the sick part. They got $2 billion and made it like $10 billion, bro. That was the problem. They made money off homelessness. But to be quite honest, it's like it wasn't a hard problem to solve. First off, get all these guys in a drug program, all of them off the street, spend that money on a drug program, and then, of course, I don't know, get more jobs into the state, into that area, give these guys some type of job so they can sustain themselves, not be on drugs. But first, you got to push them into these drug facilities or these, what's it called? Places like Netcare and all that good stuff. But yeah, get him help, then get him a job, and help them become a productive person. Not give them needles so they can cleanly inject drugs. Like, what?
They're not going to.
I don't know, but if they want to say that, then they'll just continue to pay massive tariffs, and they don't want to do that.
Following up on Friday, you said you had a cordial meeting with President.
That's why you got to force them there, bro. That's why you got to force them there. Like, what, bro? We're trying to clean up homelessness. I mean, you damn near got to make these guys get off drugs, because if they're on drugs, they commit crime and they dirty up the area. I mean, bro, hey, they're on drugs, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real with you, they're not even really their own person. The drug control them. So now let's get them the help, then let's get them a job, and let's help them become a stable individual. Like, it's that easy.
Zelensky, during that meeting, did you tell him he needed to cede all of the Donbass region to Russia?
No, we never discussed it. We think that what they should do is just stop at the lines where they are, the battle lines. You have a battle line right now. The rest is very tough to negotiate. If you're going to say, you take this, we take that, there's so many different permutations. So what I say is they should stop right now at the battle lines. Go home, stop killing people, and be done.
What do you think should happen with the Donbass region?
Let it be cut the way it is. It's cut up right now. I think 78% of the land is already taken.
And shout out to Guest Dude. He said we could end illegal immigration overnight, and most would go home within a month if we simply banned all wire transfers to Latin American nations. God damn. You're right. That would dead it overnight. Because a lot of them do send money back there, and they can't send money back there to build their house. And it's just like, what's the point of coming here if all the money got to stay here? So this whole operation of coming here and stacking your money up to send it back home is dead. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, Guess Dude, that's a great idea.
By Russia, you leave it the way it is right now. They can negotiate something later on down the line. But I said, I
don't know, unless they want to take their cash and throw it across the border. That would be crazy. But shout out to the only thing Cali did right is their convicts helping firefighters and earning both time off and the ability to become firefighters when they get out. I mean, hey, I ain't gonna lie, that's like the Netherlands strategy. So shout out to them for that one. Because the Netherlands do that, where they have a like reprogramming system inside of their jail. Like, people go in there, a killer, and then come out, a whole doctor. I mean, man, maybe we should take some notes on that. Not fully do what they're doing, but, try to kind of work that in there somehow, some way.
Cut and stop at the battle line, go home, stop fighting, stop killing people.
What do you think of Mandami's photo with the 93 World Trade Center bombing?
Yeah, no, it's a shame. Look, the Mandami thing is it's a disaster waiting to happen. We can't have a communist in charge of a great supposedly free enterprise, kind of a representative city. So I think if you have a communist mayor, I think it's going to be very tough for him and for the city.
Do you think he should oppose something like this so close to the election?
Oh, I think it's a shame that particular man is endorsing him and very friendly with him. You can see there's a relationship.
Mr. President,
he blew up the World Trade Center, right?
And Mr. President,
didn't the man you're talking about blow up the World Trade Center? And he's friends with Mandami?
Mr. President, sticking with New York City, you've talked about the Hudson River Tunnel, the infrastructure project. So you said that the funding has been terminated, but folks in New York have said that it's not terminated. So where does that stand?
Well, as of now, it's terminated, and that's up to me. And as of now, it's terminated, and it's terminated because the Democrats are so foolish what they've done to the country. I mean, we have the hottest country in the world. There's no country even close, and they just want to do this. There's nothing for them to do. All they have to do is just say, let everything continue. And I will say a lot of Democrats want this to get over.
So the administration right now is not seeking funding?
Right now, there is no funding because it's up to me.
What is your response to the protests?
Who are you with?
With the AP.
With AP?
What's your response to the protests over the weekend, the No Kings protests on Saturday?
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for. I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
And by the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a thinking at all.
Besides San Francisco, are there other cities you're actively looking at for the National Guard right now?
Tackle everything on all
What
sides.
about it?
I'm just wondering if you care to comment on that.
Well, we've used the National Guard to be very successful in Memphis. You can see the numbers are falling like rocks. Washington, D.C., Chicago is getting better, even though we're going through a lot. And, you know, we're trying to do it in a very nice way. I'm allowed, as you know, as president, like 50% of the presidents have used the Insurrection Act. You can use that. And everybody agrees you're allowed to use that, and there's no more court cases, there's no more anything. We're trying to do it in a nicer manner, but we can always use the Insurrection Act if we want. I mean, you take a look in the past, one in particular president used it 28 times during the course of a presidency. So we're allowed to do that. We thought we could do it in a very nice way. All we want to do is have safe cities. We're not looking for anything that would be spectacular other than crime-free becomes spectacular. We want to have great crime.
I don't know. In my opinion, Insurrection Act will only be invoked if that Chicago mayor is actually serious about creating an ICE-free zone. If he does that, then, I mean, hey, it's on.
Cities. So I'd be allowed to use them. I wanted the Insurrection Act, and then all of this nonsense would go away. You have the absolute right. It's the strongest power a president has, and you have the absolute right to do it. We wanted to go this route, but we get sued every time you look at somebody. You look at somebody the wrong way, and you end up getting sued. We just want no crime. We want to have crime-free cities. That's not a big...
Hey, shout out my man Salvatore coming in with another 10. He had too much to say. Just want to show some support. Appreciate that, my man. Appreciate the support, brother.
I mean, it's pretty common sense, I think, but that's all I want is crime-free cities. I campaigned on it. It's become, I think, even more successful than we thought because of the tremendous success that we had literally in 12 days in Washington, D.C., and it continues. But Washington, D.C., we're so proud of it. People are eating in their restaurants. Restaurants are opening. All the stores and restaurants were closing. You couldn't walk down the street without being mugged or worse. And now it's a safe city. I mean, it's considered a very safe city. And it's safe because we took 1,700 people out of there and brought them back to where they came from. Yeah.
You said you're going to South Korea and that's meet with China.
I am. That's right.
Can you tell us more about your goals for your trip to Asia? Where else you may be going?
I have a very good relationship with President Xi of China. We're having disputes on things. They're paying us a lot of money, tremendous amount of money in tariffs, and they'd probably like to have it be less. And we'll work on that, but they have to give us some things too. Right now, China's paying a tremendous amount of money in tariffs, like they've never paid before. You know, they paid a lot during my first...
Well, you know, because Chinese companies need American consumerism or they'll go under, yeah, they're cutting their prices and eating the tariff.
Administration, my first term. Now they're paying an unbelievable amount of money to the United States. They probably can't pay that much. And I'm okay with that. We can lower that, but they have to do things for us too. It's no longer a one-way street.
What would you lower it to?
Depends. I mean, we'll have to see what they want. One of the penalties we have it because they're sending in fentanyl. We have a 20%, as you know, a 20% tariff on that. But they'd be paying about 157% tariff, which is, you know, record-setting type tariff. I don't want them to do that.
Under steel and aluminum, they would be paying 157%, but everything else would be about 130 if by, you know, November 1st, something doesn't get worked out. Because right now, everything's at a flat line, 30% tariff on all their products, but 55% on steel and aluminum.
And I want to help China. I'm not going to hurt China. But they have to give us things too.
Sticking with China, Mr. President, on soybeans, are you confident that you'll
I want them to buy soybeans. One of the things I want is China's going to buy soybeans. I want China to stop with the fentanyl. Very, you know, normal things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us.
But you want them to, but do you think they will make a deal on soybeans?
I do believe, yeah, because otherwise I'm not going to make a deal. No, I want them to buy. Our farmers have been boycotted by China as a negotiating point. I don't want that. Our farmers are great, and in particular our soybean farmers, and I want them to start.
Now, China's been going to Argentina to buy their soybeans instead, and, you know, kind of been leaving our soybean farmers in dust, or, you know, just leaving them out to dry. Now, the problem with that is that I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to be funding Argentina, the guys who's taking away that or who's helping China take away our soybean business or sales. And we're giving about $20 billion to stabilize their economy to make sure there isn't a regional, I would say economic fallout. Yeah. Regional economic fallout because of Argentina goes, then Chile goes, then Brazil goes, and then we can't have that because that's just going to cause high immigration. But yeah, that's the reason why we're giving the $20 billion for economic regional stabilization. Yeah, for that alone. If not, then that whole area could fall out. But it is kind of crazy how we're giving them $20 billion while they're also stealing soybean sales. Now, maybe Trump is working something in there with them to where they, can split the sales up and, not leave our soybean farmers out to dry, but we'll see.
Buying soybeans at least in the amount that they were buying before. And I believe they'll be able to do it.
But sticking with soybeans and Argentina, you're looking to do that deal with Argentina, the mail swap. So,
with respect to beef?
Are we expecting a beef deal?
I assume you're talking about beef. Yeah,
no,
to get beef prices down. The only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get that down. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina.
But my question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are a top
Argentina's fighting for its life. Young lady, you don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
What do you mean by a beef deal, sir?
We would buy some beef from Argentina. If we do that, that will bring our beef prices down. Because our groceries are down, our energy prices are down. Well, I think we're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon. We're getting close. And everything's down. The one thing that's kept up is beef. And if we buy some beef, now I'm not talking about that much from Argentina, it would help Argentina, which we consider a very good country, a very good ally in a place. Although I must tell you, if you take a look now, South America is turning. The South American countries are starting to turn very much toward us. They're getting away from socialism, and you can go right down the pack. But they are starting to turn. It's pretty amazing.
May I ask you about Israel again? Do you feel that Israel was justified with striking what it did?
Striking where?
In Gaza today and overnight.
I'd have to get back to you on that. I'd have to get back.
What is the next step?
Because we're going to be determined. All of that's is under consideration right now. It's under review.
Mr. President, on Harvard.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Washington Post.
That's what I thought.
On Harvard, you said the other week that you had reached a deal, but we haven't heard anything. What's the holdup?
Well, we reached a concept of a deal, but it's pretty complicated because under this deal would be $500 million that can open up trade schools. And I love the idea of trade and trade schools like Harvard. So, they get into like a vocational type.
All right, so he's already trying to work out a way that Argentina can kind of help us out by, I guess he says, bringing down our beef prices. But let's see here. I was looking up some things, and so yes, some of the 40 billion. So right now, 20 billion has been confirmed in what was it? I believe like a currency swap with Argentina. But the other 20 billion is planned, but not yet fully secured or operational. So they still have only received 20 billion from the USA, not 40 billion. So yeah, you guys saying that it's 40 billion? No, it has not been. The 40 billion is planned, but have not yet been fully secured or is not operational. Therefore, they don't have $40 billion. They only have 20 billion in currency swap.
And the one problem with it, it's very complicated. When do they start? How do they start? Who do they use? There's 1,000 different things, and we may just charge them a big fine, $500 million fine.
Mr. President,
and they won't do it again. And if they do, we'll have to just charge them another fine.
You haven't weighed in on the Virginia gubernatorial race that's in a few weeks. Do you plan to endorse the lieutenant governor?
Well, I think the Republican candidate is very good, and I think she should win because the Democrat candidate's a disaster. So I haven't been too much involved in Virginia. I love the state. I did very well in the state. But I will tell you, I think the Republican candidate is excellent, and I think...
Now, the Democratic Party in Virginia just might have cooked themselves. I didn't think it was possible, but if they keep up with Jay Jones and they don't make that man step down, they cook themselves. It's over for them. There's nothing else they could do. Like, if the people of Virginia still vote Democrat after that, I'm gonna be real with you. Y'all letting us know who y'all really are at that point. Like, the man literally sat there, and y'all would literally vote in an AG who sat there and said it's okay to kill kids, said he would be delighted in seeing the death of children. I mean, hey, if that's where your heart's at, go ahead and vote for them, for the Democrats in Virginia. But if it's not, then you might want to try something new. I'm just saying.
The Democrat candidate is a disaster. I mean, I watched her in the debate. She couldn't answer the most basic question. And, you know, a big thing with that race and also the race in New Jersey is going to be energy. Both of the Democrats are going to drive the energy prices through the roof. Through the roof. Your energy is going to double and triple. If the Republican gets elected, your energy is going to be coming down by 70, 80%. Thank you very much, everybody. Vote Republican.
Should your
Vote Republican. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get over to this interview with Zelensky on Meet the Press. The full interview finally came out.
Biggest takeaway. President Zelensky, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here on an historic day.
Thank you for the invitation.
We really appreciate it. Let's dive right into your meeting with President Trump. What was your biggest takeaway from your meeting with President Trump?
First of all, yes, it was a productive meeting, quite long meeting, more than 2 hours. We spoke about everything, and of course about possible negotiations. Yes, political negotiation. Of course, all of us, all our country will wait for diplomacy. We want to stop this war. We want to stop Putin, and of course, we count on President Trump, on the United States and European allies, with this pressure on him. We spoke about air defense and long range, and be honest with you, I have understanding that we can move forward further with air defense, and with long range, our teams will work still. We don't have, this clear understanding for today.
So just to be very clear, your long range, you're talking.
And shout out Luna, FVA Dems. I live here in a red area, but a blue state. Yeah, hey man, shout out Luna. Appreciate the support, sis. But nah, F them. I mean, come on now. Like, if I'd have been cool, look, I'm okay with Dems winning. I have no problem if they keep their area. But I mean, if you're threatening political violence at that point, I mean, anybody who votes for you is damn near signing on to that. And I don't know why they would put that on the Virginia people. Like, bro, just drop Jay Jones. We're not telling y'all the whole party just to drop out. Just drop your AG and find somebody new.
Talking about your request for the,
like, bro, you can find a different crusader for, going against Trump. You can find another Dem who's going to go against Trump the way y'all want. Just not this man. Y'all don't got to stand behind this man, but the Dems are. So, like I said, right now the Dems cannot say that they condemn political violence if Jay Jones is still running.
Tomahawk missiles. Did President Trump give you any assurances that the United States will give Ukraine Tomahawk missiles?
First of all, we need Tomahawks, and when we speak about long range, people have to understand, we use thousands of long range drones, Ukrainian production, on military goals. But Russia uses not only drones of Iranian production, they use this, and also their production. Be honest, they have their drones, but also they use missiles of Russian productions and missiles long range of North Korea production.
And this is why it's really hard for me to like understand why people think that Ukraine is winning or really has a chance when they're literally asking to be able to fight Russia on an even playing field, because they both got drones, but Russia has missiles. Ukraine, they have to ask for missiles. So a lot's going on already with that statement already. So I don't even know how people even think that Ukraine has like a fighting chance when they have to ask to have they have to ask Trump to have a level playing field. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Very difficult.
We'll get more into that
with Ukrainian drones. We need long range Tomahawks and similar. United States has similar things. We need it for mixed using, like Russia uses. It's understandable how it works. So our teams work on it, I said, and I'm honest. It's good that President Trump didn't say no, but for today didn't say yes.
Hey, where I come from, people say axe. What can I say? It's just where I come from. I mean, hey, if you was talking to a Southern guy, you wouldn't be saying nothing like that. And besides, I'm in country ass Ohio. What do you expect? Like, hey, grow up. Y'all know what I'm saying.
He didn't say yes to Tomahawk missiles.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sensitive question, and messages from President that it's not enough for American interests, the number of you have. Yes, I can't share these details. I'm sorry, this is your internal questions, but I count on continuation of this dialogue.
In the beginning of the week, President Trump seemed open to giving Ukraine Tomahawk missiles. Then, after speaking to President Putin, he changed his tone. Do you think President Trump changed his tone about Tomahawk missiles after speaking with President Putin?
I don't know really, because we didn't meet before this phone call. But for today, it's good again that he didn't say no. Yes, but I think that
the problem with Ukraine getting Tomahawk missiles that might just escalate Russia's missile attacks, because right now they're meeting Ukraine at eye level. Like, all right, cool, y'all want to use drones, we'll use drones, and we use cruise missiles every now and then. Now they just start up straight up using all their cruise missiles, which they could do. For some reason they haven't. Then I would only see the reason of them for doing that is if Ukraine got Tomahawks and able to strike inside of Russia, start striking key places. And they're already doing that with drones. So giving these guys Tomahawks is only going to escalate things. And they're already putting Russia in a tight spot by attacking the oil refinery. Now, it's not enough to make Russia surrender. And all Russia's going to do is just start allocating more of their oil to military, support. So that's not really going to stop Russia all the way through. It pinches them, but it won't stop them.
It's, what he understands, maybe understood after phone call. I don't know. I was not during phone call. So, but I knew about it, the Tomahawks. It's very sensitive for Russians. They afraid that United States can deliver Ukraine. That I think that Putin afraid that United States will deliver us Tomahawks. And I think that he really afraid that we will use, and he knows what military goals, we know where they are, where the military goals of Russia, and he afraid that we can use it. And that's why we are where we are.
Are you disappointed that President Trump's answer wasn't yes on Tomahawks?
No, of course I want, and of course we want. And of course, we understand how we can use it. And to my mind, it can pressure on Russia and push Putin to negotiations from my side. But it's to my mind, I don't know the dialogue between President and Putin.
During the Biden administration, you repeatedly asked for sophisticated weapon systems, and there were long delays in receiving them. Do you believe those delays were an obstacle to your winning on the battlefield?
Very difficult question. And I have to find something similar answer. Yep, from the very beginning of this war, we've been not in comparable circumstances with Russia. First, the second biggest army in the world, then they attacked us. And they attacked us by missiles, by everything, by long range. They attacked us by a lot of different things. We didn't have it. But what we had, our willingness, and we are very free people. That's all we have. And of course, our people and our warriors. But then we began to produce. And of course, when we began to produce and began to push out Russian, and we pushed them from 50% of the occupied territory from the beginning of the war, we pushed them during first months. And of course, we needed very big support. We are thankful to all the countries, but of course, if deliveries go quicker, and when it's slow, it's understandable that Russia knows everything. Like about tomahawks, for example. If before this
you ain't wrong.
administration, previous administration, I asked for.
Russia does kind of like know everything that's going on the ground. They have eyes on other countries and like what's moving and all that good stuff. So even if they can't stop it, like, you know, while, you know, the transfer being done inside another country, I mean, bro, they can meet them as soon as it meets inside of Ukraine. So Russia definitely has an all-eye system on Ukraine, and we'll get into that later. I'll definitely show you where I'm getting that from.
Long range. I asked about tomahawks. Russians did not prepare. They didn't know about it. Of course, such surprises, of course, they can make you more stronger. But then we spoke so long time. Now everybody knows now about tomahawks, and Putin calls to President Trump. I think one of the reasons because he's afraid that President will give us tomahawks.
Let me ask you, because President Trump said property lines should be defined, quote, by war and guts after your meeting. They should stop where they are, he said. You have said territory would be the most difficult part of negotiations. Are you now willing to negotiate some territory, to give up some of Ukraine's territory in order to end this war, Mr. President?
I understand the signal and message from President.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll get back to Zelensky, but let's go ahead and get over to foreign media on what they have to say about what Russia wants.
Vladimir Putin has sent a new condition to end the war. The Russian leader reportedly told President Donald Trump that he would only agree to end the war if Ukraine relinquishes full control of Donetsk. Well, according to the Washington Post, Putin made the demand during his recent phone call with the US president. The report, citing officials who are familiar with the conversation, said that Putin also suggested that Russia might be willing to withdraw from parts of two other Ukrainian regions, Zaporizhia and Kherson, in exchange for full control of Donetsk. Now, Donetsk is a strategically critical region in eastern Ukraine. Russia, along with separatist forces, has controlled parts of Donetsk.
So that's what Putin wants. He wants full control of Donetsk. If he can't get full control of Donetsk, he said he's not coming to the peace table, to the peace table or to peace negotiations. So it does seem like the only way to get Russia to stop right now is for Ukraine to give up, Donetsk, which if they don't want to, I mean, they can always still try to fight it out with him and see if they can push him out of there. But I mean, who knows if they can do that?
Since 2014, but it has never succeeded in conquering the entire region through military force. The region is seen by Ukraine as a key defensive line against further Russian encroachment towards Kiev. Now, Putin's reported demands represent a shift from the most expansive territorial claims he made at an earlier summit with Putin in Alaska in August, where Trump has not commented publicly on Putin's demand. However, following a crucial meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House, Trump reiterated his hope for a ceasefire. He also seemed more inclined for the two sides to freeze the current front line.
Okay. In my opinion, they should stop the war immediately. You go by the battle line wherever it is, otherwise it's too complicated. You'll never be able to figure it out. You stop at the battle line, and both sides should go home, go to their families, stop the killing, and that should be it. Stop right now at the battle line. I told that to President Zelensky. I told it to President Putin.
And they do not care.
Now, to put things in context, Russia currently controls approximately 20% of...
I have been hearing that they're trying to push like there's been certain attacks in Crimea, and they're actually trying to push Putin out of Crimea right now. But as far as the Donetsk, that's still under contention. Of course, all these other areas still under contention. But as far as that is going, it doesn't seem like the battle line has moved too much. And from what I've been hearing is that, well, Russia's going to have a pretty tough time maintaining this unless there's a ceasefire, because there's a lot of wooded area here, and Ukraine can easily send their drones through here and cause damage. Just as easy as Russia can send their missiles over there to Kiev.
Ukraine's territory, and claims control over large swathes of land in Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. However, the front lines in the war have remained relatively static over the past year, with neither side gaining any significant ground. According to the Washington Post report, Trump envoy Steve Witkoff raised the issue of Donetsk with the Ukrainian delegation, highlighting the region's Russian-speaking population. However, Ukrainian officials view this as a typical Kremlin talking point. The report said that while President Zelensky and other officials have privately acknowledged the likelihood of Russia retaining control of the captured territories, They are seeking security guarantees from the United States and Europe to prevent further aggression.
Yep, he won full control of the Donetsk, city of Donetsk. So Donetsk. I ain't never good with those words, but it is what it is. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get back to Zelensky. You know, now that we know what Putin wants, let's see what he's gonna say to this question.
Negotiations. Are you now willing to negotiate some territory, to give up some of Ukraine's territory in order to end this war, Mr. President?
Emphasis on that.
I understand the signal and message from President. A public message, yes. He published after our meeting, yes, as I understand.
After your meeting.
So I understand that we have to finish this war and begin this finishing from the place where soldiers stay, from the contact line, as I understood correctly. Yes, I agree that if we want to stop this war and to go to peace negotiations, to urgently and in diplomatic way, we need to stay where we stay, not to give something additional to Putin because he wants, because he's terrorist. Just that's it. I can't find other words. You see, my level of my English enough just to find correct word about this person. So that's why we have to stay where we stay, then begin any format, in any format. I said it several times, in any format, bilateral, trilateral, but we need to negotiate. Peace talks have to be in quiet, quiet, have to be in quiet situation, not under missiles, not under drones.
There has to be a ceasefire in place before you can negotiate.
I think yes.
Russia has launched some of its biggest attacks against Ukraine since President Trump's summit with President Putin in Alaska. Give us a sense of what's happening right now on the battlefield. Is Ukraine losing this war or winning this war?
We are not losing this war, and Putin is not winning. And really, his army now in the weak position. I think so, because they're in
a weak position, but you haven't been able to get back no land back, none at all. I mean, they're in a weak position, but they're able to attack your capital, and you can't attack theirs. They're still, but here's the thing, though. This is where they're even at. They're able to attack, infrastructures like oil refineries and power plants and all that good stuff. And here's the thing. They're not allowed to attack Ukraine's energy center. Look, they got nuclear plants, okay? Bombing a nuclear plant, Russia can do it, but they're not willing to take things that far. Like, just always remember, there are 2 nuclear plants in Ukraine that Russia could bomb any day, and that's that. But if anything, they'd rather just cut off the power to those nuclear facilities, and that'd be way easier than just shutting them down and then blowing it up. God forbid.
From the beginning of this war, they could occupy 1% of our land, but they spend 1,300,000 people. And I think this is high price, yes, for such land. And I don't understand why the leader of the country, which has the biggest territory in the world, they need some more kilometers. That's why I think that this war...
Because you was threatening to go into NATO. And if you wasn't going to go into NATO, or you wasn't playing nice with those NATO boys, then this would have never happened. But, hey, you wanted to test Putin, and now you found out. Look, dog, you're the perfect example of...
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
It's not about the land and not about territories for him. It's about our sovereignty and about our independence. And he can get it. How to get different instruments. Territories, one of the instruments. That's about it. On the battlefield, he's not winning. That's why he really escalates air strikes. And you are right. He using missiles and drones on our... He wants disaster, energy disaster during this winter by attacking us. Each day, 500 Iranian drones. Each day, 500 Iranian drones and 20 SE-30 missiles. That's why we need air defense and long range. He has to feel what we feel.
President Zelensky, I want to show you a chart. This is
Bro, I mean, like I said, I don't know, dude. I don't know. That's not a good idea that we should let this man just keep running Ukraine into the ground like this, because they're not going towards victory. They're going towards total destruction, because there is a switch that this man could flip at any moment. Putin don't got to drop a nuke on these guys. He just got to blow up their nuclear plant. So I'm not really sure why he's acting like he's not in the most vulnerable position right now. Like Putin just cannot just flip the switch of mass destruction in Ukraine. And here's the thing. I mean, he's playing it quite fair. This is why I say I'm like Putin could be doing these guys a whole lot more dirty, in my opinion. I don't understand what's the slow roll for, but to be real, slow roll might be because his economy was waning in the first place. And then with all these countries pulling out, it's probably even harder to push economic force. Well, not economic force, but military force. So I can see where the slow roll is. And of course, you know, the extensive help to Ukraine. So I can see where the slow roll is, but they could still blow Ukraine up off the map just by striking their military, their nuclear plants. And the fact that that hasn't been done, it kind of lets you know that, well, maybe Putin isn't trying to just completely destroy Ukraine. Maybe that isn't the whole thing here, but it's more about land acquisition and taking care of the guys who are already ethnic Russians, who consider themselves ethnic Russians in those lands that Ukraine does not want to give up, especially in, you know, the Donetsk region, the city of Donetsk, however you pronounce it.
Missile and drone launches from Russia. I'm going to give it to you. It's since President Trump took office in January. You can see that they have increased since then. Why do you think that is?
It's not. I mean, it's not about President Trump, because they increased their capabilities, because they put more money into their own production, because North Korea began to help them, because machineries, stanky, machineries, industry, machine tools, because machine tools came from China to him for production, because Iranians gave licenses for these drones. So a lot of different reasons why he increased. Yes, but all this shows that he doesn't want to stop this war. They want just pressure, because they need more pressure and then more ultimatums. Again, it's how Putin see this war end.
You take me to my next question, because President Trump says he will meet with President Putin for a second summit in Budapest in the next couple of weeks. President Trump says he thinks President Putin does want to end this war. He just said that. Do you think President Putin will ever be serious about peace?
I'm gonna be real with you, and this is just common sense. Like, you're delusional if you think that Zelensky's winning, because if he was winning, right? If he was winning, then why hasn't Putin come to the negotiation table? I mean, if Putin was losing, then why is he able to demand a city? Like, think about it like that. Like, usually a loser is not demanding a city. Like, think about that right there, just on the common sense of it. And Zelensky hasn't got back none of the regions from Putin for this whole time. I mean, like I said, you guys can sit here and be delusional as you want to, but Ukraine is not beating Russia. It honestly, like, look at the manpower. We can send as much weapons to these guys, but they still are only a population of 37 million, fighting a population of 140 million, who have a bigger army, bigger reserves than Ukraine. Like, I'm not sure where in y'all heads y'all think that Ukraine could win this. Like, look at Zelensky's face right now. Does that look like the face of a winner? Does that look like the face of somebody who's victorious in war? The man looks pitiful every time we see him. He looks worse and worse.
Really, I don't know. Really, I don't know that he's ready for real peace negotiations. Of course, the time will come when pressure will come on him. Enough pressure on him, and he will be ready. In any way, he afraid of his society. More pressure on him, and not so comfortable life for his
I know. Look, yeah, more economic pressure on Russia. I'm all for that, and that's what's been done. That's one of the only reasons I feel like Russia's even coming to the table is because we got India to back out of buying oil, China backed out of buying oil, Belarus, they did their own thing already. I mean, they didn't even need nobody to tell them what to do. So yeah, putting economic pressure on Russia, that works. But there is nothing that Ukraine could do to get Russia to that table. Only the economic turmoil that they're buy that honestly only the economic turmoil of their buyers pulling out is hurting Russia. I mean, y'all can bomb the refineries and all that good stuff. I mean, hey, Russia got hell of those, and they'll just allocate all of their oil to military. Well, I'll be real with you, military support. So there, you're not really stopping Russia by bombing oil refineries. Be quite honest with you, especially since they're an oil superpower. You're not really stopping them. But I will say this: getting other countries to stop buying their oil will hinder their military capabilities. But Ukraine is not stopping Russia. That's why even look, if he was think about it, if this man was winning, he wouldn't care about sanctions. He wouldn't care about other countries buying Russian oil. Why? Because it doesn't matter to him. He's winning. Why do you need the help of NATO? Why do you need support from other countries? Why do you need to cry for other countries to stop buying into Russia if you're winning?
Nation, they will pressure on him.
I mean, just make that make sense. Just make it make sense. He
wants to be president till.
And shout out Paul. He's like daily trophy. You know, hey, no, shout out to Paul. All right, Paul's allowed to troll, bro. He's allowed to troll. At least he paid the fee. That's clever. I give it to you.
He will die, and that's why, of course, he needs society to support him. That's why he count on continuation of this war. And that is what the big.
I know. If he was losing, why would he continue a war he's losing? Like, think about that. Just think on the logic of it, though. Like, come on.
Question, a big challenge for all of us. That's why I'm not sure that in Budapest he will be ready. But if, God bless, the president will pressure on him, and if Putin will be ready for any format, again, I'm sorry.
Why does President Trump need to put pressure on Putin? You're winning, right? You're doing well out there. You just need the missiles. I mean, you don't need President Trump. Like I said, Russia ain't doing nothing, right? Why you need pressure from the USA?
That I'm repeating, any format of negotiations, bilateral, trilateral, any kind of, I think it will be good.
Shoot, why do y'all need Tomahawk missiles? Y'all are winning, right? Ukraine is ultimate. It's the strongest country out there. It's able to even to take on Russia, guys. Why do they need Tomahawk missiles? Bro just said it. Russia's weak. They're not doing much. We got them on the ropes. Why do they need our support? Why are they even asking? It just seems oh so strange.
President Trump was asked whether he thought President Putin was trying to buy more time. Here's what he said.
Oh, boy.
I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah, a little time. It's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal.
Do you think President Putin is, in his words, playing President Trump?
He wants to postpone real negotiation meetings. He wants to postpone any kind of meetings with me because he understands that he has to make outcome of any kind of meetings. Peace meetings.
Yo, Saros, he says 30 plus U.S. funded biolabs sit on Ukrainian land, and a lady testified to Congress to protect these 3 labs years ago. Like, wait, these 3 labs? Man. Well, no, these labs 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 30 funded, 30 biolabs. Lady came out and was asking Congress, "Oh, we need to protect these labs." About 3 years ago, bio funded. Like, what are they doing there? I would have to ask that. Like, what are they doing there? Why are they so important? Because and why are they in Ukraine? Because obviously Ukraine can't protect them. And then where are they at in Ukraine? Because they're far enough from the eastern part of Ukraine, and really don't got too much to worry about. But if they're close on that region right there, then yeah, it might be it. It might be cooked, bro. It might be cooked. It might be done for them. They already got the labs. And testing what? Because as soon as you said bio, I'm not gonna lie, man.
All the world, all the leaders will wait. If leaders of the countries which are in war meet, it means that they will come with something positive for the world and for the people, first of all. That's why he will postpone. Then he wants to postpone sanctions. He afraid sanctions of President Trump, tariffs, and of course secondary sanctions, which are very painful for Russian economy. So he has a lot of losses. He really has.
Not really. I mean, we already got sanctions on them, and they found a way to move with other currencies. So the best thing with them would be tariffs. That would be the best way to handle them. Or, like I said, getting some of their biggest buyers to back out, like China and Russia.
Problems with economy and with people.
Do you want to be a part of the negotiations in Budapest? Has there been any discussion about that?
We spoke about it. They will discuss with Putin. He wanted to.
And shout out to Russia can end this war in the world with the push of a button. Not only do they have nukes, they have the largest arsenal of over 5,500. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's their missiles alone. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know why these guys think that they can that Ukraine has a chance against Russia. And that this man has, does it look like he's winning? I'm just saying, the way he sounds, what he's asking for. Why does anybody think that he's winning? If somebody's winning, usually ain't asking for nothing. Usually it's the loser that's asking for something.
Here, my opinion, if we really want to have just and lasting peace, we need both sides of this tragedy. Yes, he's an occupier, but Ukraine is suffering and fighting, and of course, how can be some deals without us, about us? Yes, and I think it's more simple because all of us, we need to share the view, because I'm not sure that Putin is ready just to finish this war. I think that maybe he want to come back with aggression.
You will push to go to Budapest?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I said to President, I'm ready.
Okay. Part of President Trump's success with Israel and Hamas was that he applied pressure to all sides. Does President Trump need to get tougher with President Putin?
Yes, and even more, because Putin is something similar, but more strong than Hamas. It's more bigger war, and he is the second army in the world, and that's why more pressure.
There's a bill in Congress that would impose sanctions and tariffs on countries that purchase Russian energy. Is it time for Congress to pass that bill?
Yes. Yes. We ask as quick as possible. We ask from Congress sanctions.
I ain't opposed to that. Look, man, I have no problem with economically starving Russia, not one bit, because that's what's really going to get them to stop. But keep sending weapons to have Ukrainians throw themselves into the wood chippers, not helping.
Also about energy, and we're asking very much also support us in the question of children, which is also very sensitive and painful for our nation. Thousands of our children have been abducted by Russia, and to recognize Russia's state of terrorism, it's the idea of U.S. Congress, not our idea. First of all, it was from Congress, these signals, and we've been very supportive of this idea.
President Trump had sharp words for you back in February during that Oval Office meeting. He told you, quote, "You don't have the cards right now." His tone has since shifted. How would you describe your relationship with President Trump right now?
I think we learn each other, and now know a little bit better.
How is your working relationship?
Good. Good work, our team's work, it's important, yes, and the President has, I think, a lot of internal questions, which are very important for him, American questions. I'm in the war totally, and that's why, of course, we have conversations Saturday, Sunday, maybe more conversation than we had before. Saturday, Sunday phone calls, and then I came here, and I'm thankful to the United States and to him that he could invited me, and we spoke. It was important meeting for me.
We are almost out of time, so if you would, just a few more. In recent weeks, this is really important. You've talked a lot about this. Russian drones and jets have violated NATO airspace. Do you believe that President Putin is looking to invade a NATO country?
I think it depends on circumstances. I think he wants. I think he is checking what country can do, especially after they delivered something, air defense or something to Ukraine during this war, after they helped us. What they can do, what they can destroy, what number of drones. He attacked Poland with 19-20 drones. They could destroy only 4. It's not enough, but it's not also about 500 attack. It's about 19-20. He's doing this, then he checked what NATO countries and how they will answer. Yes, to understand what's going on. And it's a pressure, his Russian pressure on Europe.
President Trump recently took an executive action that gave Qatar U.S. security guarantees similar to NATO's Article 5. It says if Qatar is attacked, the United States will come to its defense. Have you
Unless it's Israel that's doing it.
asked President Trump to take a similar step for Ukraine?
I asked President Trump to have bilateral security guarantees, Ukraine, United States. We have coalition willings, and we will have security guarantees, and we need Europe plus United States. And of course, we want some bilateral security guarantees, bilateral understanding what United States, what security guarantees can give Ukraine. And we discuss. We are on the way to this result.
We are almost out of time, but President Trump did campaign, or my final question, on the idea that he could end this war. He promised he could end this war. Do you think President Trump can end the war in Ukraine?
God bless. God bless, yes.
And your message to the First Lady who's trying to bring back those children who've been abducted?
I said today, and with pleasure I will repeat, so to bring back all our kids, it's a historical mission. There is no any one person in the world who can bring thousands. And that's very good that First Lady began her involvement in this process. And I'm happy that our First Ladies had meeting in New York during General Assembly, meeting about, of course, about our children, abducted children. This is good, and you said, by the way, so I'm thankful to Melania for this, and I hope that she will continue this mission, and with my wife and with other leaders, because as I said, we need the partners from all the world. This is global goal. We have.
I mean, like I said, usually a man that's winning is not really asking the whole world for help. But okay, they're winning though. Okay.
To organize coalition of those leaders who will help, or First Ladies and gentlemen, who will help to work on it, bring kids back to Ukraine. We have more than 40 countries. And you mentioned Qatar, for example. Qatar helped with children, by the way, also. So this is, we are very thankful for this.
President Zelensky, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We really
All right, guys. Now let's take a little break from the topic, and then we'll get right back into it, because I want to show you what both sides of media are saying about, the Russia-Ukraine war. First, though, let's get into this right here, because Newsom, I mean, you know what? Hey, man, the blacks who, I was going off on black people who wanted reparations last night, and then this came up.
Well, reparations could be coming to California. Gavin Newsom signed 5 pro-reparations bills this week, including authorizing $6 million for California state universities to research slave ancestry. And it
Which is hilarious, because now y'all got to spend the money to research it, to see who gets the checks, and then you got to give out the checks, and then you got to figure out how much money is all that together, and how are you going to do this? Like, bro. All right, Gavin. Let's see how he makes himself look stupid with this one.
$1 for California state universities to research slave ancestry, and it doesn't stop there.
I just signed a bill 2 days ago to address these systemic issues and I've been very progressive in terms of the bills that I've promoted, not just signed, to start to unpack all of those issues.
But Newsom did veto some of the most radical reparations proposals, and polls show the majority of Americans do not back the move, and this race-based push could possibly burn him.
Like support for U.S. government paying cash reparations to descendants of slaves. 32% support, 55% opposed, 13 not sure. And 13 usually just not sure because they're like, I don't know too much about that. But 55% of the American people is like, no. Of course, the 32%, I mean, YouGov poll. And how much people voted on this? I won't tell you, but it's a YouGov poll.
Do not back the move, and this race-based push could possibly...
Which, I'm going to be real with you, YouGov is a pretty even poll. That's actually a pretty even poll. Because, like, I could see there are a lot of people who do believe that people should get back their race-based reparations, but most everybody understand that it's unconstitutional.
Americans do not back the move, and this race-based push could possibly burn him in 2028. David, I want to bring you in because I saw you kind of reacting during the intro there.
It's the Gavin Newsom effect.
Yeah. Tell us what your thoughts are. Reparations in California.
Okay, first of all, Gavin.
No, as a black man.
Newsom's a scam artist. Look at what he signed and what he didn't sign. So he vetoes the bill that would allow colleges to give priority admissions to descendants of slaves, but he signs a $6 million authorization to Cal State to research methods of determining slavery ancestry. It's what he does that you should pay attention to.
Wow. So he'll say one thing and then go behind your back and do something different. Like, yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to do this all for your guys, but really I'm going to veto it. I'm going to reject it on the back end. And then I'm going to claim that I did it. It's like, wow. And some people will go for this. Some people will fall for it. Like Gavin Newsom tried to give us reparations, but it didn't happen. I know, because he vetoed it. He told you he was for it. Then he lied. He lied to you. That's what we call him, Newsom.
Virtue signals without doing anything. $6 million is going to go to another, shrimp on treadmill type study. And it goes nowhere. When you look at how blacks have voted in California on issues, not on party, they're not for a lot of the issues that Democrats push out there. Reparations, they're gone. Okay, it's generations, it's over. And the ones still trying to push it are those who are just trying to keep blacks in Oakland and other dense populations where they need them, where, by the way, they've failed. You know what the real reparation in this country is?
What?
The real reparation in this country is to give someone the best shot at a good education, the best shot at a good economic environment and a job.
Now, that's facts there. That's facts, because I ain't gonna lie, man.
I can see what they're doing, what he's doing. I can see it. I feel it. He's cooking.
Reparation in this country is?
What?
The real reparation in this country is to give someone the best shot at a good education, the best shot at a good economic environment and a job. The best anti-poverty program is a job. Better than that, a career. You do those things, black, white, Appalachia, East LA, wherever you are in this country, and you will suddenly see a whole difference, or at least a remarkable difference in a population.
And Joey, maybe that's what Americans see. Maybe they agree with David right there on his last point, that putting out money or these type of reparations is just not popular. It's not going to work. And that's why you see in the poll, 55% of people are opposed to what Gavin Newsom is pushing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I just don't really care what California does with California's money, but I want the federal government to take a good hard look at it and make sure, like this healthcare debate, that they're not using federal money to subsidize it some way. They don't take California money they were using here, and now they slide federal dollars in there and move it over there. I think reparations as a concept is just, it's too ambiguous. It's too hard to nail down. If you don't know that you're a descendant of slavery, then obviously being a descendant of slavery hasn't held you back, right? Like you're not, so like it's hard for me to understand that. Listen, if we're gonna, I guess Democrats they truly believe money is the root to all happiness. Because if they want North Korea to not build a nuclear weapon, let's send them money. If they want Iran to not do it, let's send them money. If they whatever it is, they think that you can just throw money at a problem and it's no longer a problem. And we've seen over and over again that it takes more work than that. It takes more effort than that, and that money usually only is a bad solution or a bad ingredient, not a solution. So I'm not going to sit here and campaign against California doing something for reparations if that's what they want to do. People get mad at me because I say things like, last night, Southern California seems like a lost cause. I say that because you're allowing the Republicans that represent you to get voted out. You're losing ground in your state. And it's up to you to fix it because I can't from Georgia. So if this is another one of those problems, maybe the Republicans in California, the conservatives in California, or the common sense people of all stripes in California will push against this. Also, Gavin Newsom isn't going to be their problem in just a couple of years. He's running for president.
Maybe this is one of the reasons why, though, because it doesn't seem like this reparations idea is particularly popular. And it makes you wonder, why is he pushing this? And for me, Dr. Nicole, it kind of smacks of...
I mean, only amongst black people is it popular. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, nobody else is feeling this, like, at all. Like, and why would they? It doesn't benefit them. If anything, it takes away from them. And I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, if it's not money, then give us land. I mean, like, bro, basically... it's the same people that get mad at Israel for being an apartheid state that want to talk about seizing land from other people. It's like absolutely insane.
Loan forgiveness, a little bit of that vote buying. That's the way.
Don't even want to ask nicely, don't they? Never want to ask nicely.
Political showboating by sly guy Gavin Newsom. I mean, look at exactly what we're doing. He is putting forward $6 million to create this Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery to just set up a process to verify whether Californians is a descendant of slavery. He's not actually saying what he's doing with it. We've already seen that he has vetoed and he has gone against bills doing.
It's funny. So what? Only people in California get reparations? That's hilarious.
Something for descendants of slavery. So this is political posturing. And to Joey's point, yes, they continue to say this is being done with state money, but we know that they just shift the money around, and California gets a lot of federal taxpayer dollars. And so whatever money they give for reparations or any that they're doing right now, if they're giving state dollars for that, they're bringing in federal dollars for something else, and it's just the shuffling of money. But make no mistake, Gavin Newsom knows what he's doing. He knows reparations is politically unpopular.
I'm gonna be so real though, like the descendants of slavery, dog. I mean, you're gonna be paying out some, like, damn, I ain't gonna lie, you might be paying out some white people at the end of the day, or some really, really light-skinned black people who damn near look white at the end of the day. Like, there's a lot of descendants of slavery and in America. And here's the problem. I mean, the bill is just too big to fit. I mean, giving them their own land is almost out the question because you have to take land from others, and who's going for that? So, hey, I would do say the guys like who spew about reparations is completely unreasonable. So either they want trillions of dollars or they want land that we'd have to pretty much, I don't know, take from other people, or I don't know, cut down some forests and give them some land. And who knows with these guys? They don't have a real plan.
But he has to make sure that he says he's doing a little bit to make sure that he gets the 45% of people who are for them.
I don't know if it's 45%, but can I ask a common sense question? When did California have institutional slavery?
They entered the Union as a free state, but they did have slaves. It just wasn't legal. So they never, as a state.
So you're going to punish an entire state if he had his way for something they never actually did.
Elections have consequences.
Which is wild.
You want to live in California? That's
which is wild. It's like, hold on, wait, wasn't California one of the northern states? Like, wasn't that cool? Like, wait, why they got to pay reparations?
I'll take Georgia. I'm in Florida, but I'll take Georgia, which is the South.
Hey, nah, that's tough. But all right, guys, let's have a bit of a comedic moment with this Jay Jones guy. Yeah, this guy right here. This guy who thinks it's okay to wish death on children.
Jay Jones, the Democrat nominee for Virginia Attorney General. Recently, he took part in a debate with the current AG, Republican Jason Miyares. The hot topic of the debate, you ask? A scandal that in normal politics would be immediately disqualifying. The National Review reported that back in 2022, while texting a colleague, Jay Jones fantasized about shooting then Virginia GOP leader Todd.
Man, and shout out Tove. So coming in is going to be a desert land. Man. Shoot. Hopefully not. We don't want that to happen to Cali, but the way they're going, man, and the direction they're going in is like everybody just wants to leave. The pricing is getting crazy, but they're still hoping that, maybe they can vote themselves out of this. But the problem is, I don't know. I just don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody there is really learning their lesson with Newscomb. We don't know. I would have to ask the people of California, like, yo, what is up? What is up with you guys? Like, do y'all really think y'all being governed correctly? And if so, I mean, it is what it is. If you're a Republican, you might just want to head out of California, because these guys are always going to keep these Democratic leaders in power, and you're going to suffer at their policies. So, you got to use the only power you got is, well, your taxpayer money and your feet, and get to moving.
Gilbert called Gilbert's too young about shooting.
Yeah. But let's see, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, which is the Republican opponent, Hitler, and Pol Pot. And Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people and he received both bullets every time. Well, damn. I mean, that's pretty damn hateful, but he's cooked.
Then Virginia GOP leader Todd Gilbert called Gilbert's 2 young children little.
He's like, I do think Todd Gilbert and Jennifer are evil. I do think Todd and Jennifer are evil, and that they're breeding little fascists. Yes, bro. You see where the rhetoric goes too far? You know what's crazy? There's probably some people in the chat who think like this.
Fascists, and hoped that they would die, saying only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. In response to this,
actually, you know who said the same thing? Destiny. Destiny said the same thing. He's like, no, let the Republicans get shot. Only if they get shot and killed will they finally reform gun policy. I'm like, wow. But yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. So he's saying that, yeah, maybe he won't be such a gun rights guy if both of his kids die by guns. I'm like, well, okay.
Pain personally do they move on policy. In response to the story, Jay Jones released the following statement. Like all people, I've sent text messages that I regret, and I believe that violent rhetoric has no place in our politics. Let's be clear.
I sent text messages that I regret as well, and I wouldn't want those to be released either. But you know what? After seeing your messages, I'm actually okay. I'm okay with that at that point. Like, you know what? Go ahead and drop them. If you got them out there, go ahead and drop it. I don't care, because it can't be worse. I never wish death on nobody or nobody's kids. Not like this man did. No, so go ahead. Like, can't be worse than what this man got exposed for.
About what is happening in the Attorney General race right now. Jason Miyares is dropping smears through the Trump-controlled media organizations to assault my character and rescue his desperate campaign. See, Virginia, everyone sends texts that they regret. Jay Jones he's just like you. The real problem is that it's being reported in the news.
Tonight, you're going to hear 2 very different visions for the future of this Commonwealth. And you're also going to hear from my opponent about text messages that I sent that I deeply, deeply regret.
Are you sure?
Let me be very clear. I am ashamed.
Okay.
I am embarrassed.
Ashamed that you're caught and embarrassed that you're caught. You're not ashamed about sending those text messages.
And I'm sorry. I am sorry to Speaker Gilbert. I'm sorry to his family. I'm sorry to my family. And I'm sorry to every single Virginian.
I'm gonna be real with you, dog. If I was Gilbert, I ain't hearing it. I'd be like, all right, look, dog, I hear what you got to say, but the only way I'm forgiving you is me and you shoot a fade. Now we got to fight, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not even sure if I can let you walk out that fight alive, because you threatened my wife and kids. So I don't know, man. That relationship might just be cooked. Like, I don't know if I could ever be around this man without wanting to put hands on him. Like, hey, that is wild how we even thought it was okay to even text that. Like, come on now.
I cannot take back what I said, but you have my word that I will always be accountable for my mistakes.
So he says that he has been held accountable for his mistakes, but I don't think he knows what that means. To be held accountable means that you have to first take responsibility. The core of being held accountable is taking responsibility for one's actions without making excuses. Instead, he was like, I deeply regret using that violent rhetoric that my opponent and Trump-controlled media organizations are using against me. Next, to be held accountable means justification. One must be ready to explain the reasons behind one's actions or decisions. Of course, he won't do that, because you can't justify claiming that a GOP House Speaker is a worse person than well-known Nazi or communist dictators.
Oh God, like, bro, tell me bro, at least give me like 10,000 people that man have killed. All right, Hitler killed 6 million. Can you give me 10,000 that dude Gilbert killed to like, I don't know, justify what you said? Like, please tell me who that man has killed. Maybe you know something, Jay Jones, that we don't about that man Gilbert. Let us know. Maybe you said it under good circumstances. You're like, maybe he caught bodies that we don't know about. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Okay, we all know that's some bullshit. We all know he has no good reason to say that.
Well, at least not to normal voters. And finally, being held accountable means consequences. One is expected to face the outcomes that result from one's behavior. And there haven't been any. Most, if not all, Democrats are still supporting him because they probably agree with the sentiment. In fact, the only potential consequence that he will face is losing on election day. And if he happens to win, well, then he's basically being rewarded for being a piece of garbage.
Now, again, Jason is going to try to make this race about my mistakes. But this race has always been about more.
Nah, it's not about the candidate for the top law enforcement position who hoped that the children of his political opponent were murdered. No. It's about the bad orange man.
As Attorney General, I can't wait to see Donald Trump in court. Donald Trump, President Trump, Donald Trump.
Bro.
Because Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald
And that's why they don't want to let this man go, because they know he's going to be a crusader against Donald Trump. They know, like, hey, yo, we need this guy in here so we can have our F Donald Trump agenda fulfilled. That's the only reason no Democrat has asked this man to step down. Only reason, over something petty as that.
Donald Trump, 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 Donald Trump. I will see Donald Trump in court to hold him accountable. Donald Trump's Donald Trump, Trump administration. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump's Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, President Trump, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, Donald Trump's Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Jason hangs out with Donald Trump at MAGA rallies. I will see Jason Miyares and Donald Trump in court as your next Attorney General.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We're going to move.
Now, along with TextGate, Jay Jones is also being accused of receiving special treatment after being convicted in January 2022 for reckless driving. According to reports, Jones was driving 116 miles an hour in a 70 miles per hour zone.
I was held accountable. Jesus.
I mean, the trap music must have been busting that day, but I mean, bro, 100? Like, come on, dog. I mean, you may catch me going maybe like 90, but 120? That's no way.
For reckless driving. According to reports, Jones was driving 116 miles an hour in a 70 miles per hour zone.
I was held accountable.
There's that word again.
And several years ago, I made very grave mistakes, but I was held accountable not just by the people in my party, but by the Virginia State Police, where I had completed a very rigorous driver improvement course, paid a substantial fine, and completed the terms of the community service as outlined and approved by the New Kent Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the judge in that county.
However, it seems that Jones wasn't really held accountable. Well, at least not like a normal Virginian would be. Here's A.G. Miyares on the matter.
The reality is that Jay Jones was in court for going 116 miles an hour on Interstate 64. 4 people were in court that day, were going roughly the same speed. 3 of those 4 people got suspended or active jail sentence. But Jay Jones is a politician, and he asked the court not to give him any of that, to give him community service.
Wow.
And instead, we now know he misled the court. That community service, it wasn't done for a charity. It was done for his own political action committee that he controlled.
And that's correct. Instead of receiving a mandatory 1-year jail sentence, he was given 1,000 hours of community service, half of which was served at his own political action committee called Meet Our Moment. Meet Our Moment recruits and trains minority Democratic candidates to run for and win state and local offices across the Commonwealth over the next Virginia decade.
So community service was basically just business as usual. Like, bro, just keep doing what you are doing and we're going to call it community service. Like, what? Bro, that's like me getting community service and they're telling you, oh, bro, just go to work. I mean, yeah, that's all you got to do. Just go to work. I mean, like, so business as usual? Yeah, that's all you got to do. Bro, just go to work. All right.
The Richmond Times-Dispatch reports the declaration that Jones completed community service for the PAC was signed by Leslie Scheinbaum Stewart, Jones' longtime advisor. Meet Our Moment is grateful to the time that Mr. Jones gave to the organization in furtherance of our mission to train civic leaders. So he logged 500 hours of community service at the PAC that he spearheads. In other words, there were zero consequences for J. Jones, and he used his community service to his political advantage. In a statement on X, A.G. Mayares wrote, "Instead of taking accountability for his actions, it appears my opponent has submitted a letter to the court stating that he performed 500 hours of community service for his own PAC, which isn't a charitable organization under state code, to dodge potential jail time. This raises serious troubling questions about J. Jones' judgment, his ability to uphold the law, and ultimately his qualifications for Attorney General." So what was the alleged 500 hours of community service?
I mean, complete political corruption at its finest, man. That is this guy. And like, Bill, if you're in Virginia, please, I hope you're watching this video and understanding that, bro, these people are insane. These people are insane, or they're just as corrupt as, actually, no, they are the corrupt people that you think that Trump is. What you think Trump is, these guys really are.
Being performed at Meet Our Moment. Couldn't tell ya, nor can we tell you about the other 500 hours. According to court records, J. Jones performed the other 500 hours of community service for the NAACP Virginia State Conference. In 2023, Jones helped sue Governor Glenn Youngkin's administration on behalf of the Virginia NAACP for access to the Voting Rights Restoration Database, a fact that Jones has prominently touted during his campaign for Attorney General this year. It is unclear if the lawsuit was part of the 500 hours that Jones completed as part of his community service hours. The Jones campaign did not answer questions from the Richmond Times-Dispatch about his community service for his PAC or for the state NAACP conference. So if his community service was legit, he and his campaign would answer basic questions about it, right? But it's not, so he won't. I know you're shocked.
I've taken accountability for my mistakes, and I know that people in Virginia right now demand and deserve leaders who accept when they make mistakes and can acknowledge that. And
I mean, nah, ain't that the truth. Shout out to, he said, sorry, she said, if he was willing to do this over a speeding ticket, what would he be willing to do to get out of the worst charges? I mean, exactly. Like, man, what would this man would have done if he'd actually ran over somebody? Like, ooh, God forbid. So yeah, can you, like, I don't even know how this man can be trusted when he pulled some crazy strings just to get out of taking responsibility for a speeding ticket, for reckless driving. Like, to be quite honest, he could have took that one to the chin. I don't know, paid the fine, understood, actually did some real community service instead of just business as usual, and then kind of framed it as community service. I don't know, that's a bit wreck. I mean, I wish I can get that deal. I mean, hey, if you ever got community service, wouldn't that be nice if they told you, oh, no, you just got to go to work. Yeah, the 40, 50, 60 hours you're going to work for, we'll just count that as community service. You'd be happy, wouldn't you?
have been held accountable.
No, being held accountable would mean that J. Jones would have been sentenced to a year in jail, just like everyone else who isn't named J. Jones.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, everything y'all think Donald Trump is, man, the Republicans are. Some of these Republicans, like this guy right here. This guy gonna have us living under a fascist regime. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, if that's how you feel towards your political opponents, I mean, Jesus, you become Attorney General. I mean, anybody who's a registered Republican who's in court, what are you gonna do to them? That's a reasonable question.
Remember, folks, no one is above the law, except if you're a prominent Democrat politician.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for now. If you want to support the channel,
I mean, shout out to Don't Walk Run. Like, hey, these guys are a pretty good channel. Shout out to this guy. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into Fox a little bit. Go into the New York City mayoral debate.
Joining us now for tonight's big close-up is Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, thank you so much for coming in with us tonight. We really appreciate it. I know you're no stranger
Democrat.
to New York politics.
Wait.
It gets.
Oh wait, what did I say, Tove? He said, "Don't you mean Democrats said?" Wait, what did I say? Oh, he's okay. My bad.
Messy. Right. We saw what Andrew Cuomo had to say. I guess my question to you is, if you are polling it, we have a poll that says 14%. You may have a poll that shows better. But if you are polling, say, third or low.
I said Republican. All right, my bad, guys. My bad. Misspoke. Sorry, guys. Long night.
Get up there. What is your path to get those votes?
Well, first off, let me take issue with your Fox poll. It says the strongest candidate against crime is Zoran Mandami. Who did they poll? Shoplifters, pimps, prostitutes, drive-by shooters, gang members? Come on, take that poll and throw it out. I'm the law and order candidate endorsed by Rudy Giuliani. Does anybody have better credentials when it comes to law and order and saving New York than Rudy Giuliani? And he said no to Cuomo, obviously. He hates Zoran Mandami, who would destroy this city.
Well, back to that question, though. What's your path to get the votes to win the mayor's race?
The pathway is I start with 28%. That's what
no. Actually, no, I believe I did mean Republicans. When I said if the Republicans are going to be in court, imagine if somebody who's a registered Republican that's in court. I mean, imagine what he would do to that guy's AG. It's like, that's what I was saying. Okay.
The last time. And remember, when I ran against Eric Adams, I warned everybody he would be corrupt and there would be chaos. So I was right then.
No,
and
I
I'm right
appreciate it,
again.
Tove.
So let this play out. The people who have their chance to vote, you got to get your vote out. I have moderate Democrats. I have independents. And I have that category of voters that's never been tapped in before, animal lovers, the first ever independent line, protect animals, no kill shelters, animal abusers go to jail. I know some people like making fun of that, but there are a lot of Americans dedicated to rescuing animals in distress. And I'm proud of what my wife has done over the years and so many other men and women in the United States and here in New York City.
Curtis, years ago,
I'm surprised a lot of liberals can't get down with this guy. I mean, aren't they the ones that mainly, the animal lovers? I mean, sure, we all love animals, but I mean, aren't they the ones that, want to protect the species and all that good stuff? I need some red pills and Kool-Aid. Love you all. I need some red pills and Kool-Aid. Oh, damn, Bobby. Don't do that to yourself.
actually rode the subways with you and the Guardian Angels, and that's part of your law and order background. So I know there's hardly anyone in New York City that knows that issue better than you do. I was there with you. But I want to switch gears and just talk about the economy, because that really is a front and center issue in this race. And it came up during the debates that you had just earlier this week. So let's take a look at the soundbite and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Will freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Making buses free doesn't just provide economic relief, but also public safety. Making universal child care a reality first is to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers, raise the state's top corporate tax rate, collecting the fines and fees from bad landlords.
Zoran, boy, your fantasies are never going to come about in terms of funding everything you want that's going to be free, free, free. It's a fantasy.
So, Curtis, I hear that you think that these are fantasies, but the fact is that Mamdani is leading. He's got the endorsement of Governor Hochul. He's got the support of state lawmakers that are leading.
Even if it's a fantasy, man, the people want it. And that's the problem. I mean, they're willing to believe in a fantasy because the reality is this, well, that bad. I mean, imagine how bad your reality got to be if you're willing to believe in a fantasy. Like, ooh, I mean, come on now.
Emotional damage.
The state assembly. So it seems like there's a lot of support around what he's proposing here when it comes to the economy. So tell voters, if his policies of free childcare, free buses, hiking the taxes came to fruition, what would that do to New York City?
Well, we would be fiscally dissolving. Now, why not look at the only Republican in this race, the only one who's advocated cut the corporate tax rate, cut the income tax, cut the property tax. Who supports me here at Fox, who is an economic czar? Larry Kudlow, who has helped many, many elected officials get their budgets back into shape and cut taxes. It is the only salvation for New York. Andrew Cuomo.
I don't know how this guy's not a reasonable option, though. It's like, oh, I'm trying to cut taxes. I'm trying to protect animals. New York, how is this not your guy again? Like, bro, like, what is it? Is it the hat? Is it the beret, bro? I get it. It's a bit of a turnoff, but I mean, he got some good policies.
Wants to raise taxes. Zoran Mandami wants to raise taxes. They're like two peas in a pod. In fact, I view Andrew Cuomo as the architect of our destruction, and Zoran is the apprentice. They're both for no cash bail, raise the age, releasing prisoners into the street. So the only person with sanity who actually follows Republican principles is Curtis Sliwa. So why would a Republican not want to vote for a Republican and save this city like they did with Rudy Giuliani and what we did the year after when we elected Pataki over the better Cuomo, everybody?
Like, Jet, man, it don't got to be like that, though. It don't have to be like this. Like, this is crazy. Like, the man got a Beretta. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. But I get where, he's a bit of a turnoff for that one. But the policies, though, the cutting the taxes. But then every time a Republican cut taxes, they say, oh, you're doing it for the rich. Well, the rich are the ones giving you guys jobs and economic opportunity. So what am I supposed to do? What is he supposed to do, guys? What? Like, come on now. Not cut taxes for the rich? Like, make it make sense. Y'all can't cry about cutting taxes for the rich, but then also want more jobs and also want more pay. Like, you don't make sense.
He acknowledges that. Mario Cuomo.
Yeah, Curtis, I want to bring back, Lydia obviously talked about the economy. It's a huge, big ticket item, but also, as you had already touched on, law and order. There was one of Zohran Mamdani's top aides was caught saying this on video, and I want to talk about it briefly.
What did the police think about Zohran? Because I know that's like a little contentious.
Just what they think. You're a city employee. You get told what to do. Shut up. When did you get an opinion?
And after that, subsequently, Mamdani and his campaign have gone on to apologize, essentially, for calling the NYPD racist. Take a listen.
Absolutely, I'll apologize to police officers right here, because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day.
So obviously, Curtis, one of the reasons Mayor Adams is being ousted, one of the many reasons he's being ousted, he was actually pro-police, pro-law and order. But the concern having Mamdani leading in these polls, I mean, I can tell you as New York City adjacent, it's terrifying. What do you think would happen if he was to win this race?
There would be a mass resignation of police officers who are already retiring early and are being recruited away by other venues. We know that. He wants to replace them with social workers. But then again, the alternative, as we heard from Andrew Cuomo, is, oh, elect me and I'll save you from Zohran Mamdani. This is the guy when he was governor, right, in 8 years. Released 43 cop killers into the street. He paroled 43 cop killers. He's no friend of the cops. His father, in 12 years, never paroled any cop killers. So law and order is Curtis Sliwa. They are...
Yeah, but that's back when Dems made sense, with Mario Cuomo.
Again... Democrats have led to this destruction of our state and city. There would be no Zohran Mamdani if Eric Adams hadn't failed as mayor and if Andrew Cuomo hadn't fled, fearing impeachment when he was governor, to the Hamptons and his billionaire friends. They created Zohran Mamdani. They got to live with Zohran Mamdani. I'm the only one who can beat Zohran Mamdani.
Well, Cuomo said he's going to go to Florida, right, if he was elected?
Oh, yeah, running. He'd run it. Hey, let's face it, he's the dropout king. He dropped out.
They're going to tax the ish out of him. They're going to tax the hell out of Cuomo. Like, Cuomo's damn near trying to protect themselves, too, because let's not pretend, like, bro, the Cuomo family's rich. Like, they got money. Like, damn near like a blue blood family in America. They got money. So to sit here and pretend like they're not going to leave is hilarious. Like, of course they're going to leave. They're damn near fighting for the right to stay.
Running for governor against Carl McCall. He dropped out
That's rich New York
to the Hamptons with his billionaire friends. If he happens to lose against Zohran Mamdani, he told his billionaire friends, I'm going to run to Florida. I'm so afraid.
All right,
maybe he can get that little pendant. I'm falling and I can't get up, Andrew Cuomo. Hey, stop crying. He hasn't been on the campaign trail in 10 days. Did you see?
I'm sorry. This is why I like New Yorkers, bro. They know how to joke around.
Billionaire friends, I'm going to run to Florida. I'm so afraid. Maybe he can get that little pendant. I'm falling and I can't get up, Andrew Cuomo. Hey, stop crying. He hasn't been on the campaign trail in 10 days. Did you see that? 10 days he hasn't been campaigning. All he spends his time all day long is saying Curtis Sliwa's got to drop out for me to win. Let me say it for the 9,852nd time. I'm not dropping out. They try to bribe me. They threaten to kill me. I have armed bodyguards now. We'll see who the people choose on November 4th.
As the Florida resident, I'll personally stand at the border if Cuomo tries to come in. All right. A more serious note, Curtis. We're in New York.
Like, no, go back there, Cuomo. No, your effed up policy created Mondani. No, go back and deal with what you've created. Don't be a coward. Don't run. Don't run. And stay right there.
I used to be a New Yorker. You look at 9/11, you look at pre-9/11, the 93 bombing at the World Trade Center. Mamdani recently posted a photo of him smiling with an imam who's a known terrorist sympathizer. He's even testified in favor of the imam, in favor of the blind sheikh who was convicted of conspiracy in the 93 World Trade Center bombing. But instead of addressing those terror ties, Mamdani's more concerned about whether Andrew Cuomo has set foot in a mosque and if he could name the mosque. Listen to this.
It took Andrew Cuomo.
I mean, hold on now. I did have to explain that part because Cuomo was being unfair. You're pretty much trying to say that Mondani hate Jews, but you see him kicking in with the Hasidic Jews in New York. But I mean, all right, cool. He's allowed to flip the script back on him and be like, all right, well, why haven't you been to any mosques? Why aren't you, talk to the Muslims since you're up my ass about the Jews? I mean, that was pretty fair.
Being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality, and they want respect.
First of all, they have equality and respect. I've been to mosques in this city, Curtis. Go ahead.
Well, the infamous one you're talking about, the Imam Siraj Wahhaj, sued me for $5 million. So before Andrew Cuomo even knew who he was, this man sued me because I was calling him out as one who was embracing terrorism, as we saw Zohran Mamdani. See, Zohran Mamdani embraced terrorists.
Which he was.
And I get sued by terrorists. I happen to have won that case within 5 minutes. But the guy tried to bankrupt me financially because I took a position and I met him head on. That's why I'm more capable of being mayor, is that I see these threats coming and I take them on. I don't surrender. I don't retreat. I fight, fight, fight. And I fought Imam Siraj Wahhaj. He sued me for $5 million. Guess what? He tried to bankrupt me, and I won the case.
Real quick, last question. It's an easy question. Andrew Cuomo says if you drop out of the race, he gets all your voters, he goes to the top. If Andrew Cuomo dropped out of the race, would the same happen for you?
No, of course not, because certain people are going to vote for you. You know, this is the same.
Yeah, the blue no matter who, as Jet said. Like, once again, restating a very good point.
Andrew Cuomo,
people do think like that.
America was never that great. You think my supporters are going to vote for Cuomo? Or don't you remember, Governor Cuomo, if you're a conservative or Republican and you're pro-life and Second Amendment, there's no place for you in New York. Do you think Republicans and conservatives forget that? Because all of a sudden, Andrew Cuomo wants to reinvent himself. He has smacked Republicans and conservatives in the face. He has told us to leave New York State. He has destroyed New York State. And I will prevent him and Zohran Mamdani from putting the last nail in the coffin and destroying New York City. I'm the only Republican candidate. I'm Rudy Giuliani 2.0.
The man in the red.
I'll give it to him. Great interview. Great interview. I like it. I like it. He got the energy. It's just that, bro, it's the vote blue no matter who is what's going to kill you. If this guy could win New York, I mean, hey, man, that'd be a blessing. But all right, though. Let's go ahead and get over to the next video, man, because finally, they're covering this. Finally. I mean, they should have been covered this, but now that they finally are, I mean, thank God.
35 faith leaders are calling on President Trump to act on the deadly persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Since 2009, over 52,000 Christians have been killed, including 7,000 this year.
Yeah, by an Islamic terror, yes, an African Islamic terrorist group has been going around unaliving Christians since 2009. It's about 125,000 Christians have been killed since 2009. Yes, 7,000 killed in 2025, 5 million displaced since my bad, since 2009. Why did I say 2029? Whoops a daisy. But yes, about 125,000 killed in 2009 and about 5 million displaced in 2009 because Nigeria has been seen as a place where, they have their Christians, but it isn't really safe to live there as a Christian. Just to be quite honest with you.
More than 18,000 churches have been burned since 2009, and over 5 million Christians have been displaced.
Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo joins us now. Raymond, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad we're doing this topic. We don't speak enough about the persecution of Christians in the world, the #1 persecuted religion in the world. What can you tell us about what's going on in Nigeria and why we've been so slow to respond?
Well, first of all, just to put this in context, if you put together all the Christians persecuted for their faith around the globe, Rachel, they do not compute to the high numbers in Nigeria. As Charlie just mentioned, 52,000 killed since 2009. That equals, there's a group called Inter-Society, which does pretty good polling on the ground. They say that's about 35 Christians killed every day. Okay, 3 churches.
Crazy thing is, though, I covered this like weeks ago, and they just came out with this story maybe like 12 hours.
Destroyed every day in this area. And look, it's a combination. In northern Nigeria, you have both Muslims.
And they got the number of people killed wrong. It's like, bro, it's like double that, almost quadruple. It's 125,000 Christians killed in Nigeria since 2009.
Muslims and Christians being killed, but in the Middle Belt and elsewhere, it's all Christians being slaughtered. And the perpetrators here are Boko Haram, whose name we know, an Islamic terrorist group. You have these Fulani herdsmen who run around on horses or on motorcycles with machine guns. They literally mow these Christians down, these farmers who are tending to their land. It is an outrage. And back in 2017, the Trump administration designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which came with sanctions. Well, when the Biden administration came along, Anthony Blinken lifted that designation. He said these murders were being committed because of climate change.
What?
So that's why you see now Ted Cruz and 35 Christians saying, wait, we need to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. It's a bloodbath. It's a genocide.
Hold on. Wait. They framed it as a matter of a concern of climate change, bro. What does climate change have to do with Islamists running around killing Christians? Like, what does that have to do with, like, that has nothing to do with climate change? But of course, they need to support climate change over stopping the killing of Christians for some reason. Like, that is crazy work right there. Huh? I'm gonna go back on that.
Outrage. And back in 2017, the Trump administration designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which came with sanctions. Well, when the Biden administration came along, Anthony Blinken lifted that designation. He said these murders were being committed because of climate change. So that's why you see now Ted Cruz and 35 Christians saying, wait, we need to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern.
Yeah.
It's a bloodbath. It's a genocide.
It does seem like if this were happening to somebody else, you would see it on the front page of the New York Times, the front page of the Washington Post every day. Why isn't it?
Well, I think.
I mean, if you want to be real with you, because it's Africa and it's Nigeria, and there isn't too much of a concern over there. And I mean, let's be honest. If it was a bunch of Muslims being killed, he wouldn't really care. He wouldn't really talk about it. But it's a bunch of Christians, so now it's being highlighted. Because now, well, there has been a lot of Christian persecution going on. So now this is starting to be highlighted and brought up to the light. But I mean, hey, man, hey. If it wasn't Christians, I mean, we wouldn't really be talking about this. And I would like to say that, honestly, it hits home because it hits home. I mean, this is a majority Christian country, family members Christian. Most of our family members are Christian and all that good stuff. So it hits home to us. And that's pretty much why. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons I feel like it's being brought up in Nigeria, because it's been going on for a minute now, like the killing of Christians. And all of a sudden, this whole Christian persecution stuff has been being brought up in places like, oh, it's happening in Ukraine, Syria. I mean, certain places in the Middle East. And of course, now it's being done in Africa. I mean, now this is being brought up to the spotlight and everybody's catching it. Everybody's starting to see what's going on, what's been going on for, well, 15 years plus.
Because A, it's Africa, and we just don't cover Africa the way we should. And B, for whatever reason, Islamic terrorism is just not covered. And when you look closely, 22 Islamic terrorist groups, including Boko Haram and others, have safe haven and have a safe quarter in Nigeria. Now, here's a little news. I was told this last week. There is a group of Nigerian legislators coming to Washington this week trying to petition the Trump administration and Congress from designating their country as a one of particular concern. They don't want this, but they're doing nothing to protect the Christian population there and to
because is either they don't want to or they can't afford to. Like, something got to be going on, because thing is, Nigeria, it got a pretty decent Christian population, so I'm not sure why they wouldn't want to protect them. But hey, I'm gonna have to look up on that one, because I thought their Christian population was big enough to at least be able to have some type of law come down upon them. Like, I thought their Christian population was big enough that we'd have some Christians and, you know, in some political positions, like, but maybe not.
Stop these radical Islamic groups from just laying waste to people on the other side of the religious divide from them. But I've spoken to Christian leaders there for decades. They will tell you they are very much afeared that Nigeria is going to turn into what Egypt and Constantinople became, which, remember, was a majority Christian country that over time you had an Islamic destruction.
Yeah, they got a heavy population of Christians. This is like about 46% of the Nigeria's population identifies as a Christian. I mean, given Nigeria's population of roughly 230 million people, that works out to approximately 105 million Christians. So if they're out here trying to kill Christians, I mean, bro, they got Jesus. And then here's the thing, if like, why is our government not taking care of it if it's like 46% of their people?
Of the faith, and that's what's happening in Nigeria in real time. We've got to do something here. At least put sanctions on this
What's remarkable, I couldn't agree with you more. And what's remarkable is, despite this persecution, the number of conversions and the faith of the African church is something that's so inspirational. So we appreciate you joining us on this.
And I'll just go ahead and give you the simple breakdown. It's about 46% of the population, mostly in southern and central Nigeria, is Christian. Now, the Muslim population is 47 to 49% of the population, mostly in northern and southwestern Nigeria. So these people are basically living separately. And then, of course, the traditional indigenous religion is about 3 to 7%. So, you know, people still worshiping their idol gods and the 7 gods of the year that they worship, you know, for good harvest. You know, those guys. But yeah, that's where things stand right now.
Thanks, Raymond.
Happy to
Thank
do
you,
it.
Raymond.
It's really important. Thank you all for covering it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kill.
No, I mean, shout out to them, because not much people was willing to cover that. Like, I haven't seen too many like mainstream media at all. Like, Fox News is probably the first I've seen cover this. I've seen it covered on X, but that's X. X is the Wild West. I mean, I think PBD covered it, but then that was it. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to the next video here. And let's go ahead and get into some old Russian propaganda. As they would say.
What happens when Western technology meets Russian precision? When weapons praised as game changers turn into smoldering wrecks under the roar of Russian drones and missiles? October 2025 answered that question in fire. Across the Ukrainian front lines, Western-supplied systems like the Vampire Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, or APKWS, HIMARS, and Patriot were hit hard, exposed, and ultimately destroyed. And with every explosion caught on camera, the myth of Western invincibility burned a little brighter, before collapsing into dust. It began on October 13th. A video published by the military news Telegram channel showed the moment a Ukrainian Vampire APKWS air defense system was struck. The footage, taken from above, was almost surgical in its precision. Through the drone's lens, the Vampire sat in place, mounted on a light truck, unaware of the danger circling above. Then, in a flash, the hunter became the hunted. A Russian loitering munition dove straight down, hitting the target dead center. The Vampire didn't fire a single shot. No movement, no resistance. Just impact, flames, and silence. Later, another Telegram channel confirmed that the weapon which struck the US-made system was none other than a Russian Lancet UAV, a loitering munition built for silent precision. Small, fast, and almost impossible to detect in time, the Lancet carries a high explosive warhead and operates with a range of up to 40 kilometers, guided by electro-optical targeting and real-time video feed. It doesn't just hunt, it waits, circles, and chooses the perfect moment to strike. How can a system designed to defend against drones fall so easily to one? The answer lies in what the footage didn't show: Russia's growing intelligence web. Behind that single hit were countless signals intercepted, coordinates verified, and aerial scouts feeding precise data to the strike team. The destruction of the Vampire wasn't luck, it was a method. It was the result of a battlefield machine that no longer guesses, but knows. But the night of October 13th wasn't done yet. Just hours later, another piece of Western pride went up in flames. On the same Telegram channel, a second clip appeared, this time showing a HIMARS multiple rocket launcher system entering a hangar somewhere along the front. For a moment, it seemed safe, hidden from the eyes in the sky. But the next instant, a Russian missile tore through the air and slammed into the structure. The explosion was massive, swallowing the hangar in fire. The HIMARS disappeared in an inferno that spoke louder than any report. The video ended abruptly, but its message didn't need confirmation. Ukraine's most valuable launcher, gone. The HIMARS, supplied by the United States and celebrated as the weapon that could change the course of the war, had once again become a statistic in Russia's growing list of kills. These systems had once allowed Ukraine to strike deep into Russian-held territory, targeting depots and bases with precision. But each launch left a trace, and Russia learned to follow that trail. How long can a hunter stay hidden once the prey learns to track it? For months, Russian forces have refined their counter-battery operations, using drones to detect HIMARS activity, tracking their firing coordinates, and deploying missiles within minutes. No shelter lasts long when every movement is mapped from above. The October 13th strike wasn't an accident. It was a statement. Even the most advanced American systems cannot outrun Russian precision anymore. 2 days earlier, another incident revealed the same truth, this time above Kyiv. On October 11th, debris from a Patriot PAC-3 missile rained down in the Ukrainian capital. The missile, meant to intercept a Russian target, seems to have malfunctioned mid-flight and crashed back into the city it was supposed to protect. The scene was chaotic. Smoke, shattered glass, and fragments of the very system Ukraine had hailed as its air shield. Was it just a malfunction or something deeper? The Patriot system, one of the most expensive in the world, costs millions per interceptor. Yet in real combat against hypersonic weapons like the Kinzhal or the Iskander-M, its limits are glaring. The missiles it faces are faster, smarter, and deadlier than what the Patriot was ever built to stop. Every failed intercept drains Ukraine's arsenal and drains Western confidence. And when the wreckage of a $4 million missile lands in a Kyiv neighborhood, even silence from the authorities can't hide the truth. The pattern is undeniable. The Vampire burns. The HIMARS is obliterated. The Patriot falls from the sky. Each incident is a piece of the same picture. A picture of Western weaponry breaking under the pressure of Russian adaptation. For all the talk of advanced technology and battlefield innovation, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Russia has mastered not just firepower, but information, linking drones, electronic warfare, and artillery into a single, lethal ecosystem. Every strike now happens with purpose. Every target is confirmed, tracked, and erased. What the West calls isolated incidents are in fact signs of a consistent Russian doctrine: precision over quantity, intelligence over improvisation. And while Ukraine continues to rely on imported solutions, Russia is perfecting its own, built to endure the very war it fights. What happens when billion-dollar systems are destroyed by drones that cost a fraction of that price? The answer lies scattered across the fields of Sumy, the ruins of a hangar, and the streets of Kyiv. In each of these places, fragments of once celebrated weapons now tell a story of imbalance, of how Russia has turned Western strength into weakness. The destruction of the Vampire showed that Western defenses could not survive direct engagement. The HIMARS strike proved that mobility no longer guarantees safety. The Patriots' failure revealed that cost doesn't equal capability, and together they expose a battlefield reality few in the West are willing to admit. The more advanced the weapon, the more devastating its loss.
True.
As the war grinds on, this pattern reshapes the entire dynamic of Western aid. Billions of dollars worth of systems are being fed into a conflict where Russian adaptation outpaces Western innovation. Each strike erodes not only Ukraine's arsenal, but also the illusion that Western technology alone can secure victory. Russia, through precision, persistence, and intelligence, is rewriting that assumption one explosion at a time. By mid-October 2025, the message was no longer hidden in reports. It was visible in fire. On every front, Western weapons once seen as untouchable are now falling faster than they can be replaced. And as their wreckage continues to fill the fields of Ukraine, one conclusion stands firm. This is no longer a duel of equals. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
Now let's get into some anti-Russia propaganda, because we like to play both sides. Instead of talking about their military dominance, let's talk about their financial troubles, and hopefully notice the pattern here.
Ukraine has just flipped the script. Instead of matching Russia tank for tank, they're hitting it where it hurts the most. Oof, right in the refineries.
The Russian government announced Wednesday that the temporary ban on gasoline exports will now run until October 31.
Petrol prices in Russia record highs.
Russia is seeing gasoline shortages in several regions.
Ukrainian kamikaze drones are striking at the heart of Putin's petrostate.
A Russian oil refinery in the Samara region is on fire after a reported drone strike.
As the war grinds towards its fifth year, Ukraine is doubling down on a new strategy: precision strikes on fuel depots, refineries, and energy hubs. The result? Billions in losses for the Kremlin, and a slow bleeding that's starting to cripple Putin's war machine. This isn't just a battle of firepower anymore. It's economic warfare.
Yep.
And with Russia's economy...
Because we can't beat them on the battlefield, but we sure can drain their economy.
Buckling under the pressure, Zelensky may have finally found the pressure point.
Well, Ukraine can't beat them on the battlefield, and we ain't gonna step in and fight for Ukraine. So yeah, we can drain their economy.
It forces Putin to the negotiation table. To begin with, we need to understand that energy is not just important to Moscow, it's what keeps the whole system running. Oil and gas make up a huge slice of the government's budget, anywhere from 30 to 50% in recent years. That's the money that Russia has been using to wage the war, pay its soldiers, launch propaganda campaigns, and cover the subsidies that keep ordinary Russians quiet and fed. But in 2025, that foundation is cracking. Oil and gas revenues have dropped by 19% in just 7 months, falling from 5.52 trillion rubles, or roughly $69 billion. When the money dries up, the military slows, public services shrink, and the illusion of domestic stability begins to wobble. This is not just a minor setback, it is a huge problem. Why? Because Russia's global influence was never just about tanks or treaties, it was built on pipelines. When Ukraine pushed back in 2006 and 2009, Moscow responded by cutting off gas, plunging homes into freezing silence. That wasn't negotiation, it was punishment. Even countries like Germany, Hungary, and Slovakia have at times been caught in the web, forced to be compliant, knowing that a twist of the valve could send prices soaring or supplies vanishing overnight. And now, Ukraine is turning that playbook inside out by coming after all that energy infrastructure. The very tools Russia used to intimidate are being dismantled piece by piece. This isn't just retaliation, it's a strategy. Ukraine is targeting the assets that give Russia leverage, exposing the soft underbelly of an empire built on fossil fuel dominance. What was once a source of strength is now a growing vulnerability, and the longer this pressure continues, the harder it becomes for Russia to project power, both at home and abroad. So how is Ukraine pulling this off? You see, Ukraine's energy system has faced relentless attacks since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, with strikes intensifying from spring of 2024. By the end of 2023, roughly half of Ukraine's power generation capacity was either occupied, destroyed, or damaged, alongside major hits to substations. The seizure of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant alone cut 6 gigawatts from the grid. Between March and May of 2024, another 9 gigawatts were lost, mainly from thermal and hydro plants, plus smaller solar units and critical substations. By early summer, Ukraine was operating on just 1/3 of its pre-war capacity. Because of this, entire cities were plunged into darkness, and families endured freezing nights without heat or light. However, as the war dragged on, Ukraine adapted. It didn't just rebuild, it reimagined the battlefield, choosing to target Russia's energy economy as well. Instead of chasing tanks or trying to match Russia's firepower, Ukraine went for precision. It began targeting oil refineries, fuel depots, and export terminals. These weren't just industrial sites, they were arteries feeding Russia's war machine, and Ukraine found a way to sever them. Now, in 2025, Kyiv has turned this tactic into a whole campaign. Reports suggest that roughly 17% of Russia's refinery capacity, which is about 1.1 million barrels per day, has been knocked offline. That's not a symbolic dent, that's a strategic wound. August of this year in particular was a turning point. The Krasnodar refinery in southern Russia erupted in flames after a coordinated drone strike, leading to an immediate halt of operation. Days later, the Syzran refinery in Samara was hit, its blaze visible for miles. The Kubyshev plant, also in Samara, suffered similar damage, with hundreds of millions lost in a single night. And these weren't minor plants. Those were core facilities. The Ryazan refinery alone handles nearly 5% of Russia's total output. When it was disabled, supply chains buckled. Fuel reroutes stalled, and panic spread. What's worse is that the strikes didn't stop at the edge of Russian territory. Ukraine reached deep. I'm talking about areas like Volgorad, Nizhny Novgorod, and Novoshakhtinsk. Cities once considered safe were suddenly vulnerable. All in all, Ukraine has launched more than 60 attacks on over 24 refineries throughout this war. These targeted attacks keep getting more and more refined, turning Russia's vast geography, once a strategic asset, into a liability. Using drones and advanced missiles, Ukraine has crossed the boundaries of just warfare and turned this into economic attrition. Every refinery disabled, every terminal disrupted, bleeds Russia's ability to fund its war, fuel its industries, and maintain leverage abroad. Ukraine has shown that it doesn't need to match Russia's scale. It only needs to strike where it hurts the most. And it's doing exactly that. As a result of this, Russia's energy sector is under serious strain. Refineries damaged by drone strikes aren't easy to fix. These facilities process millions of tons of oil every year, and when they go offline, the losses pile up quickly. To make it worse, because we are dealing with oil and gas, the fires take days to control, with repairs stretched into months. And while those refineries sit idle, Russia is forced to export more crude oil instead of refining products like gasoline or jet fuel. That shift cuts deep into profits. Crude sells for less, and the margins shrink. It's like selling raw grain instead of flour. And at the end of the day, there's less value and less return. These strikes aren't just leaving economic scars, they're causing real harm to the environment too. When drones hit refineries, massive fires break out, spewing thick black smoke into the air for days. In places like Samara and Krasnodar, locals have reported breathing problems from the toxic fumes, with pollutants like sulfur dioxide and particulate matter spreading over nearby towns and farmland. Rivers and soil become contaminated from leaking oil and chemicals, making it harder for communities to recover even after the flames die down. Reports from August show that some strikes led to small oil spills that affected local wildlife and water sources, adding cleanup costs that run into the millions. This isn't a side issue. It ties back to Russia's strain, because fixing the environmental mess pulls resources away from war efforts, like hiring specialists or buying equipment to contain the damage. And for ordinary Russians living close by, it's a daily reminder of the war's reach, eroding support in ways that go beyond empty gas tanks. The effects of this new Ukrainian strategy are now reaching deep into Russian life, not just through explosions, but through what those explosions set in motion. To begin with, fuel shortages in Russia aren't just a nuisance anymore, they're starting to bite hard. Across cities and remote towns, gas stations are running dry. In places like Crimea and the Far East, drivers are lining up for hours, only to find that their pumps are empty or rationed. Some stations have shut down altogether. Others are only serving people with fuel coupons or special cards. But this isn't just about cars. Farmers can't run their tractors for planting or harvesting, while truckers are stuck with half-loaded rigs. And when the trucks stop moving, so does everything else. Food, supplies, construction materials, the whole system begins to jam up. As you can imagine, with fuel shortages rampant, there has been a noticeable increase in prices. Diesel and gasoline are climbing fast, with some regions seeing a 50% spike since the start of the year. That's not just a number, it's a direct hit on anyone who relies on fuel to work, especially in rural areas where there's no backup. With economics, when fuel costs rise, everything else follows. That means groceries, tools, transport, pretty much Everything is seeing prices that are creeping up across the
True.
board. Inflation is no longer a distant threat. It's here, and it is spreading.
I mean, shoot, we seen that under Biden. I mean, when fuel prices skyrocketed, I mean, boy, inflation went crazy in the summer. Just like gas prices went crazy in the summer. But hey, it just matches up. But all right, guys, let's go get over and get on to the other side of the propaganda. Of course, let's get over to some Russian propaganda. Let's see what they got to say.
The Russia-Ukraine war has evolved far beyond the front lines. It's now being waged hundreds of kilometers deep inside both countries. Russian skies glow at night as Ukrainian drones strike oil refineries, while Ukrainian cities go dark under a wave of retaliatory attacks. In Russia, people wait in long lines for fuel. In Ukraine, families cook over campfires as blackouts become routine. And now the U.S. is adding fuel to the fire, considering sending Ukraine new long-range missiles that could tip or fail to tip the technological balance.
Yeah, I sort of made a decision, pretty much, if you consider, yeah.
To make sense of who's gaining the upper hand, I've teamed up with Sergei, a private Russian drone engineer and independent military analyst you might remember from our viral 1.2 million view video on drone warfare. Together, we'll break down both sides' strengths and vulnerabilities and try to understand where this long-range duel is heading next.
Hey guys, before we jump back in, a quick reminder. Unfortunately, this channel could disappear any day, just like my old one. So please make sure you follow me elsewhere. Pause this video.
I mean, yeah, you speaking, here's the problem. And this is why, like, it's kind of unfair what YouTube is doing. Because if, like, all right, I wish I could show you guys. I'm not sure if I get in trouble for it. Not sure if there's a policy against showing you, but I'll tell y'all. So yeah, YouTube will demonetize you if you are pro-Russian in the Ukrainian war. If you're doing any type of commentary and it is too heavily pro-Russian, they will demonetize your channel. Like, period, point blank. They will stop monetization to every YouTube channel in Russia and any other YouTube channel outside of Russia that is speaking pro-Russian. They will demonetize you. Like, they are not playing. I mean, it's just a way to control the narrative. This is why I always say, I mean, those who think Ukraine is winning, I'm like, dog. If YouTube got to sit here and ban the other side for you to believe that, I mean, you might want to consider looking at the other side.
Do you think Ukraine currently has the technical capability to completely cripple Russia's oil refining industry in the near future?
Completely? Probably not. But to significantly cut it down, yes, there's a possibility. They're gradually expanding their strike range. At first, they knocked out all the refineries in the frontline zone. That didn't really change much because even though there were quite a few refineries there, fuel could simply be brought in from other regions. Then they started moving farther and farther from the front line, hitting targets, plants, and processing facilities located much deeper inside Russia.
This might be the toughest moment for Russia's oil refining industry in the past 3 years, but it's far from the apocalypse painted by some Ukrainian and Western media. They're claiming that 40% of Russia's refineries have shut down. The number came from a mysterious Russian analytics firm called S.E.T, which before the story no one had ever heard of. Their official Telegram page barely has 400 followers, and yet this expert source somehow ended up being quoted by none other than the Washington Post. Even Carnegie Politica, an outlet that's usually quite critical of Russia, published a detailed breakdown showing why this claim doesn't hold up. It's built on faulty assumptions and ignores one simple fact. Russia has always produced far more fuel than it consumes. In other words, it can simply pause gasoline exports while refineries are being repaired. And that's exactly what the Russian government has done, temporarily holding exports and securing additional fuel shipments from neighboring countries. Most of those viral clips of people lining up at gas stations actually come from a single region, Crimea, while most of the country, as I showed in my previous episode, hasn't seen any real shortages yet. Open, no lines. Open, no lines. Open, no lines. That said, the long-range fight over Russia's oil infrastructure is far from over, and it's safe to assume Ukraine will take another shot at it.
The front line between Russia and Ukraine stretches roughly 2,500 kilometers. Take an air defense system like the Panzer, for example. It's one of the most effective against drones. Its NATO equivalent would be the Iris. Both systems have a range of about 15 kilometers, maybe 30 at best if you place them on high ground. Now imagine how many Panzers or Iris systems you'd need to line up along the entire border to fully protect it. It's just not realistic. There are forests, swamps, and other hard-to-reach areas where you can't possibly deploy anything. Those become natural gaps where a drone can sneak through. Most of the time, for months on end, Ukrainian drones get intercepted before they reach their targets. But then maybe on day 61, they find a narrow route that works, and 2 drones slip through and hit a refinery.
Most of the long-range drones Ukraine uses for strikes deep inside Russian territory are propeller-driven. They're slow and carry payloads of about 30 to 40 kilos. Even when they hit residential buildings, they can shatter windows and cause civilian casualties, but they can barely break through a concrete wall, as you can see in this footage. A single hit from a Ukrainian long-range drone can hardly cause serious damage to an industrial facility, unless, of course, the target is highly flammable, like an oil refinery. Which is why Ukraine's choice of targets is anything but random. No matter how strong your air defense is, some drones will eventually get through. Even countries with advanced systems like Israel, whose entire border, by the way, is smaller than the Russian front line, saw their Iron Dome fail to intercept several Iranian missiles during the 12-day war this summer.
It had a pretty solid dome.
Russia is now trying similar logic we've seen before, like when tanks and armored vehicles were covered in improvised
but Israel had a pretty solid dome too. I mean, hey, it caught most of them, but some of them did get through. As soon as, Iran started using the hypersonic missiles, that's when things got, serious.
Mad Max-style cages. Some refineries are already being shielded with metal nets and scaffolding. In several regions, mobile units have been formed, trucks mounted with heavy machine guns to shoot down slow-moving drones. In theory, it makes sense. If you're being targeted by cheap drones, you need cheap weapons to stop them. Not like NATO a few weeks ago when they scrambled fighter jets and fired multi-million-dollar missiles at a few $100 Russian decoy drones that had strayed into Poland after being jammed by Ukrainian defenses. And yet many in Russia are asking, if it's that simple, why aren't all oil refineries protected by now?
You know why they often don't install protective netting at oil refineries?
Why?
Because firefighters forbid it. Once you do, the buildings no longer meet fire safety standards. See, that's the thing. We're technically living in peacetime. You get the difference, right? For the Ukrainians, it's a full-scale war. For us, it's a special military operation that feels distant and disconnected. If you turn off the TV and the internet, you might not even realize a war is happening. Sure, prices are going up, and in some places gas is starting to disappear, but that's about it. Compared to Ukraine, where people are literally being grabbed off the streets, our war feels almost luxury class.
And yeah, because they're not getting struck in their capital. I mean, their main cities are not getting hit like main cities in Ukraine. I mean, that's just a sad reality.
Of course, Russia isn't sitting idly by. Has significantly ramped up its strikes this fall, and just as Ukraine has chosen oil refineries as its main targets, Russia now appears to be focusing on energy infrastructure. Bloomberg reports that around 60% of Ukraine's natural gas production, mostly used for heating, has already been knocked out. President Zelensky has even called for an air ceasefire despite rejecting such proposals just 6 months ago. Blackouts and power shortages are becoming more frequent across the country, forcing some families to cook over campfires. Residents in frontline regions say the electricity often goes out for hours at a time.
Так с 7 утра напряжения со светом нету. Вообще, просто у меня в квартире ничего не тянет. Вообще.
Even the capital isn't spared. Images.
Wait, hold on. I know y'all didn't hear that. Let me go ahead and read that one out for you. No power at all at home since 7 a.m. Nothing works in my place, not at all. And this is a lady from Ukraine.
С 7 утра напряжения со светом нету. Вообще, просто у меня
Hey, not all of them left.
в квартире ничего не тянет. Вообще.
Even the capital isn't spared. Images from Kiev show long lines in the subway as power cuts disrupt public transport. Ukrainian lawmakers have even had to call in Soviet-style water trucks and portable toilets after the parliament building was left without running water. Kiev's mayor has urged residents to stock up on water, medicine, and food and to charge their devices after the capital endured what he called the most difficult attacks in terms of their consequences. But here's the thing. Ukraine still gets most of its electricity from nuclear power plants built during the Soviet era. And even though Russia controls the one in Zaporozhye, 3 others are still operating under Kiev's control. Hitting them directly could trigger a disaster of biblical scale, of course. But from a
exactly, that was one of my main points, is that at any moment, there's 3 nuclear power plants that they could just strike and just say, oh, really? I want to play that way? F it. Just F it. Let's just have a nuclear disaster in Ukraine. I mean, they don't even got to drop a nuke. These guys already set like a nuke up on themselves.
3 others are still operating under Kiev's control. Hitting them directly could trigger a disaster of biblical scale, of course. But from a technical standpoint, it's not even necessary to bomb the reactors themselves.
Thank God.
To shut them down.
You can actually shut down a nuclear power plant without blowing it up and without risking a radioactive disaster like Chernobyl. See, a nuclear plant always operates at a constant, steady power level. Once it's up to speed, it's not meant to adjust output quickly. That's why there are what's called peaking power plants, usually gas or coal stations, whose job is to balance out the grid. When demand spikes, they quickly ramp up production, and when demand drops, they power down. Now, if you take those peaking stations out of the equation, the nuclear plant suddenly finds itself in an unstable mode, either overloaded or...
So pretty much what he's saying, that you really don't got to attack the nuclear plant directly and cause a whole Chernobyl. You don't got to do a Chernobyl part 2. What you really got to do is just hit the peak power plant, electrical grid, and, that'll just cut off power to the nuclear power plant, and you don't got to do nothing to them. You don't got to cause a nuclear disaster. You just got to blow up a couple plants.
Or underloaded.
Well, peaking plants and a few electric grids.
And that's very dangerous for the system. The plant simply can't run like that, so it has to be shut down. And that's exactly what the Ukrainians did with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant after Russian forces took it over. They didn't attack the reactor itself. Instead, they knocked out all the nearby peaking stations.
Unlike Russia's oil infrastructure, which remains vulnerable to Ukrainian strikes, the country's military production hasn't been affected nearly as much. According to Ukrainian data, the number of drones and missiles Russia now uses in a single attack has peaked this fall, surpassing 1,000 units.
This chart is low-key hilarious in a way. So in Trump inauguration, it skyrocketed. Trump and Putin phone call skyrocketed after that. U.S.-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia, it still skyrocketed. And then it kind of, it didn't go past that for a while. And then there's that second phone call where it skyrocketed. The Alaska summit, it wasn't that bad. But then now we're in October, and here we go with their largest strike ever in the war. What's that make it about? What was it? About what? 825 strikes?
Drones and missiles Russia now uses in a single attack has peaked this fall, surpassing 1,000 units. A few months ago, Russia showcased a strike drone plant it claims is now the largest in the world. It produces Gerans, originally based on Iran's Shahed drones, but significantly upgraded. Each Geran carries a payload of around 90 kilos, nearly twice that of its Ukrainian counterparts. And newer versions use jet engines, making them much harder to shoot down with machine guns, the cheap method Ukraine has long used to counter Russian attacks. They also appear to have some basic AI capabilities. Before reaching a target, they can sharply climb and then dive at high speed, leaving air defenses with less time to react. Recently, Gerans have even started striking moving railway convoys, a critical part of Ukraine's military logistics. Ukrainian locomotives are now seen covered with metal cages similar to those used on tanks and armored vehicles.
The operator didn't just randomly hit the locomotive. He first made a pass to confirm it was indeed carrying ammunition. You can tell from those distinctive container shapes. Then he made a precise strike right on the locomotive itself. You've probably seen the photos. The entire convoy came off the tracks and twisted into a tangled mess of metal. So at this point, the Geran is very different from the original Shahed. The airframe's been changed, the electronics upgraded, even the coating. There's now a kind of stealth layer that reduces its radar signature. The internal systems have been redesigned too. In short, it's a much more advanced drone than it used to be.
However, just like in Russia, the situation in Ukraine can look worse than it really is if you only read the headlines. The same Bloomberg report says Ukraine is now in active talks with the EU and the IMF to secure additional funds for gas purchases. The greater the damage from Russian drone strikes appears, the more financial aid Kiev can hope to receive before the winter months. And just like Russia's fuel shortages, Ukraine's blackouts are largely temporary. Both sides are working to repair energy infrastructure as fast as possible. It's not the first time Ukrainian cities have faced power outages, yet somehow the country manages to avoid a total blackout every winter. Reports also say the U.S. have supplied Ukraine with industrial-scale batteries that can serve as mobile backups, a safeguard if traditional power plants are ever forced offline. Ukraine's oil refineries don't burn as easily as Russia's for a simple reason. Most of them were phased out long before the war, and the country now relies heavily on imported gasoline. Recently, Ukraine's defense ministry even faced a scandal over diesel fuel reportedly bought from India, made, ironically, from Russian oil.
Russia's real advantage is in sheer numbers and firepower. We have more strike systems, we field more drones, more missiles, and we have air power on our side. Ukraine, for all practical purposes, has almost no aviation to match that. That said, there's an important counterbalance. Strikes inside Ukraine tend to be less crippling for them than strikes inside Russia are for us. Why? Because a lot of what gets hit on our side is produced domestically. We've got a lot of industry, a lot of manufacturing right here on Russian soil. Ukraine simply has fewer factories and industrial hubs to target. Outside of the energy sector, there aren't as many obvious high-value targets for Russia to strike. In Ukraine, Ukraine hits less often and with less force, but those hits are more painful for Russia. We hit more often and with greater power. Still, finding a single Ukrainian target whose destruction would have a truly major lasting effect is very difficult.
President Zelensky has vowed to strike Russian power plants and even bomb Moscow into blackouts, but here's the thing. Unlike flammable oil refineries, hitting power plants built during the Cold War isn't that easy. Lightweight drones can only cause limited damage. To seriously disable a power plant made of steel and concrete, you'd likely need a missile carrying a much heavier payload. And Russia has plenty of those. Ukraine, for its part, claims to have developed a domestically produced ballistic missile called Flamingo. Reports suggest Russian air defenses have already shot some of them down. But Kyiv is still in the very early stages of its missile program and naturally faces many teething problems. For example, some observers have pointed out that the Flamingo's side wings look too short to achieve its claimed range.
From a professional standpoint, that Ukrainian Flamingo missile looks like a piece of junk. It gives the impression that it was made by hobbyists.
What makes you say this?
For a show, even the mold work gives it away.
I mean, come on now. At least, of course you say that.
If you look closely at the rounded nose, it looks like it was hammered out by hand, like something from the 1600s. It's warped and uneven. Compare that to missiles and shells built by more advanced manufacturers. They're smooth. Why? Because aerodynamics matter. That smoothness isn't just about looks. A smooth surface cuts drag, so you use less fuel and get more range. That's a sign of real manufacturing competence. This one looks like it was put together the way Ford built his first automobile.
Of course, if the U.S. supplies Ukraine with Tomahawks, it could tip the technological balance in the ongoing long-range duel and give Kiev a far more powerful tool to strike Russia's power infrastructure deep inside its territory. But how many missiles the U.S. is actually willing to provide? That's the key question.
Since the start of the conflict, Russia has launched roughly 5,000 missiles at Ukraine. That's according to open sources. And that's not even counting drones. So when the US talks about sending Ukraine 30 or 40 Tomahawks, as they're saying now, it's not going to change much on the battlefield. What it will affect is US-Russia relations and probably nothing else.
The Tomahawk is considered the world's most advanced cruise missile.
The Tomahawk itself is quite an old missile. Most likely, the ones sent to Ukraine will be nearing the end of their shelf life. Older modifications from the late 1980s. They're relatively slow and far less accurate than the latest versions. So even if everything works perfectly, good launches, trained crews, proper
All right, he is kind of calling us on that one. Like, we are going to give them older missiles. Like, we're not going to give them the state-of-the-art missiles that, like, we just built. Like, he is calling us on that.
It won't make a dramatic difference. And let's be honest, if those missiles are launched, the people pressing the buttons will almost certainly be Americans.
You think if Tomahawks start flying, Americans will be the ones launching them? Ukrainians can do it?
Who do you think fired the first HIMARS? The Americans did.
So in this long-range duel, both sides are adapting fast. Ukraine by pushing the limits of drone technology and range, and Russia by hardening its defenses and scaling up production. Oil refineries, power stations, rail lines, all have become part of this new kind of war where distance no longer guarantees safety. Now, what do you think? Who's winning the long-range war, and how far can this escalation go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And before you go, remember, this channel could be taken down any day, so make sure...
I mean, shout out to this guy. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and close it down on this one. Ooh, got to start the work week tomorrow. But it's been fun, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close out with the...